The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Holds his arms out wide and tells them to get excited.
AFL. Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Footy is back for season 2022. The crowd is back and we're back at the MCG and we can't wait to bring it to you on ABC Sport. For the first time since 2009, a grand final rematch takes place in the opening round of the AFL season. And what better way to kick it off than where we left it off in Perth last year. Plenty has been spoken about this rivalry. Now we get to see it on the MCG in front of those who are most passionate about it, with the two sides competing. Matt Clinch with you for Grandstand AFL to call all the action alongside Corbin Minimas tonight. Your experts are Mick Moldhouse and Cameron Ling, and Tim Hodges is down on the boundary. So Mick and Lingy, I guess the question is posed. This rivalry, there's been a lot spoken about it. Freed from Desire, what role the song plays in it.
I'd never heard that song before, Clinchy.
Doesn't really matter how we get there, does it? But there's a bit of swagger about Melbourne, and probably the Bulldogs don't really like that.
No, they don't, and it's, I suppose, the new age rivalry, the fact that a song in a nightclub could cause a little bit of angst, but perhaps that's what it was like in the olden days as well, when they used to go to the tunnel or something like that, and the Collingwood and Richmond boys
no idea what
sorted
was
out.
The tunnel.
I never went there, Mick. Never went there once.
No. Funny enough, you know, my days when you played, because it was all VFL, you met after the game, and you had a cup of tea or you had a beer and a sandwich. This warm down was never invented. It was Sunday morning, and Sunday morning generally was a walk around the tan or something like that. But there was some. I know there's some few altercations from time to time in those rooms that people chested each other.
At the old social rooms,
social rooms, yeah. And let me say, you love playing at Geelong. The ladies used to put on the greatest aftermatch you'd ever see. Mind you, used to get belted down there too often. But this game here, I think you're right. I think what's happening here, you've got the blue collar from the west, and you've got the so if you went through that 6-year period when they won all their premierships, the lawyers, the doctors, the QC, it was all to do
with
the blue
bloods.
Well, it was the blue bloods. It was even, we'll call it the blue bloods and so you've got two sides here tonight who have got different origins, different DNAs, different setups. One had, right up until, say, 64, had, 13 or 14 premierships. The Dogs had one. So that was the difference. And you lived out the west and you lived near the city. So there is a great opportunity to have this as one of the great rivalries.
And the only thing is, Melbourne, the way they played in that grand final and that entire final series, they got their knees dirty. They played with the rough, hard, tough edge to their game. And the Bulldogs took it up to them until, 10 minutes ago in the third quarter, but then got completely blown apart. And it was, in the end, some of the most scintillating footy I've seen in recent memory by Melbourne. But the Bulldogs were destroyed. Now, you mentioned the travel factor and all of that, but it's got a sting. When I look at the Bulldogs, I think, okay, how do they jump from getting completely blown away to a premiership team? And Bontempelli is a star and McRae's a star and all of this.
But, Blingy, you can answer that. No one can answer it better what you can, because your most recent one has sampled exactly that, where I remember you telling me about 2010 and thinking, wow, and then a year later you're holding the cup. So it gets done, and probably in your mindset you're going to say how Geelong did it, and that's got to be the Dogs' mindset.
And it's the leaders that must drive it and drive a standard and a relentless standard. However, they will play to that standard, the Bontempellis of the world. They will play to that. It is that next generation of players who have played some pretty good footy at times and did okay last year. Now, Bailey Dale made All-Australian and a terrific year. Can he go again and elevate himself even more? Aaron Norton is one of the most exciting players in the game to watch. I love coming to watch him at the footy. But can Aaron Norton go at better than a goal a game? Because that's pretty much all he's at. He's had 78 games, 96 goals. So he's got to jump up again. Tim English, we've raved about him as a young ruckman. Can he elevate himself and take on a Max Gawn and not just match it, but start taking some scalps? Bailey Williams, what can he do? Ed Richards, lots of promise. What can he do? All these types of players. Josh Dunkley, all the talk of being traded to the Essendon. No, I'm going to stay here. Well, that's great. He's played 93 games. He's a solid player. Does he turn himself into an All-Australian midfielder? All of those questions. Bailey Smith, one of the most exciting young players, most marketable young players in the game. But does he become an All-Australian midfielder? So that drive from that group to support Bontempelli and McRae and the players, you just know what you're going to get from them every single week. That's where the jump comes from. So it's over to the players who've played between 60 and 110 games. Do you want to elevate yourself like the Melbourne players of the same ilk did last season? Or are you just happy having made a grand final and we did okay and we just disappear into anonymity for the years to come and never become premiership players?
And I know this takes place when every premiership side has a half a dozen can't do withouts, and they carry the last 5 or 6 players who play well, but all of a sudden they become important players for other clubs to pinch. And when they arrive there, they go, oh, we're a little bit disappointed. This bloke's not as good as we thought. No, it's because he hasn't got the other leg working for him who sits up there with Dusty Martin or Cochin or Jack Rewald or Lynch or whatever the case is. So I look at Melbourne, and Max Gawn to me is their most important player. Then you've got Petrarca and you've got Oliver, and it's a split. You can split hairs there which one's which. Now, without being unkind to anyone else, they've got some very, very good, talented players, but if those 3 players aren't on song, they need the next 3 to step up. Now, we know May has done better, and we know that Lever's got to be, I'm not playing tonight, Lever, and we know Bailey Fritsch has jumped up. But I would say that if you took, you put the rest, that 17 I haven't mentioned, outside of the 5, put them into North Melbourne. I don't know whether North Melbourne would be 1 or 3 or 4 goals better, but they're not going to be 10 goals better. No. And that's why I say, you named a few players at Bulldogs. This is where Melbourne also have got to be very careful that they don't leave it to 3 or 4 of those good players.
And the same with those players that you're referring to from Melbourne. They embraced a really important role last year. They played it
the role
perfectly to a T. Think of Ed Langdon, probably the best example. Just embrace that hard work on the wing. Now, does he embrace that same role with the same passion, the same diligence, or does he want to become a little bit more of a star himself and get a little bit more love, a few more accolades? And that starts creeping through a few more of those players, and they go away from what made them a really strong, united team that could then elevate themselves on grand final days. That's the challenge for them.
Yep.
Their individual expectations have all risen just as much as the team expectations have risen.
The thoughts of Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse with you on Grandstand AFL. Matt Clinch and Corbin Minimas to call the action. The final member of our team sitting in the front row of the grandstand. Tim Hodges, welcome back to a new season.
Oh, hi, Matt. Hi, boys. Hi, listeners. Nice to be here. It's brilliant to be here. Brilliant to have a crowd here. The Bulldogs won the toss. They will kick to the punt road end of the stadium. I've never seen the MCC's bars, restaurants, their cafes fuller or happier. It is a happy demon community here tonight. So many smiles, people hugging and kissing, new premiership merchandise being worn. There are even tears while the premiership flag was being unfurled. And it is a blockbuster night. A crowd of 70,000 expected tonight. I reckon there's probably 50 to 55,000 in. I still think there's probably 10,000 plus people outside trying to get in. I think the early start has really caught them out. The weather is humid, still 23 degrees. It feels like we're at a big bash game in summer. The subs for the Demons, Toby Bedford. For the Dogs, Lockie Hunter. I hope this is some sort of start to the season, guys. Good calling.
Yeah, no shortage of late changes. The Lever out, Steph Martin out, Johannesson out as well. So the players are in position and the countdown on the big screen. So Ryan Gardner coming in, Hayden Crozier comes in as well. Adam Tomlinson back in, of course, the hard luck story of the grand final last year. And just repeating that late change, Jason Johannesson suffering an injury in the warm-up. So Jamara Ugle-Hagan is the medical sub for the Western Bulldogs. So Melbourne victorious in the grand final by 74 points. They kicked 15 of the last 16 goals. Season 2022, the fans are back. The colour and soundtrack of our great game. Let's go. Here's Corbin Middlemass.
It'll be Gawn and English at the middle, and Gawn on the way down whacks it straight into the path of Treloar. Dogs with the centre break. Treloar, the first kick of the season, down to half forward, spills off hands to Oliver. Melbourne back with it, hand pass to Salem. He coughs it up. Hannon, the former Demon, at half forward for the Dogs, gives it to McRae, sends it inside 50. Hunt with the spoil. Bontempelli had it, lost it, and the Demons will clear the defensive arc from the kick from Oliver.
Well, the kick is up to Spargo. He's tackled immediately by Crozier. The ball comes clear. Eventually it's Ryan Gardner who feeds it back to McRae. Dogs with numbers on the members wing. Treloar back to McRae. And short to Bontempelli between wing and half forward. Bulldogs heading to the punt road end in this opening term. Norton and Waitman are deep. Cordy starting an attack as well. Bontempelli just puts it into the path of Waitman. Gone in from the side. Couldn't take the mark. Vandermeer couldn't clear the congestion. Joel Smith for Melbourne. Hand pass to Hunt. Around the body to half back. But Williams takes the intercepting mark for the Dogs.
So Bailey Williams, broadcast wing, inside the centre square now as he's called to go. Kicks it into the pocket over the head of Waitman. It'll slip out of play. Throw in forward pocket for the Bulldogs.
Just trying to pick up where Liberatore's playing it. Whether he's drifted from middle to forward, or is he just going to lock in on the forward line?
Demons home game in the navy blue with the red V, and the Dogs in the white shorts in their tricolours from the boundary throw-in. Gawn fists it high up into the air. Treloar dispossessed immediately in the tackle from Petrarca. Footy comes back to Liberatore. His hand pass out to the boundary line. Hannon keeps it alive. 50 from home. Sends it inside 50 to Bont at the drop. Can't complete the mark. Dunkley spun around in the tackle. Kicks it outside the forward 50. Petrarca wrapped up immediately. Viney emerges with it. Gives it to Petrarca. Up to the wing to Spargo.
Wants to feed the hand pass back to Angus Brayshaw. Brayshaw looks for options around the members wing. Ben Brown on a long lead. Arms outstretched, takes the mark in front of Keith. Has it between wing and half forward for the Demons. Comes inboard to Petrarca. The Norm Smith medalist. How much better can he get? Petrarca looks long inside the 50. Kick partially smothered by Dunkley. Front and centre, Neil Bullen gathered. Tries to feed the hand pass to Jordan. Little fumble. Caleb Daniel right there with him for the Dogs. Second tackle. Clayton Oliver swoops onto it for Melbourne. From 50 to the top of the goal square. Fritsch is there. Flies. Can't take it. Cozzy Pickett. Good shepherd. Langdon onto it. Steps around the right boot and puts it through. The opening goal in the grand final rematch comes after 2.5 minutes. And Ed Langdon kicks the first goal for the Demons. They're one straight to the Bulldogs yet to score on Grandstand AFL. You're with Cameron Ling and Mick Moldhouse.
Heaps of pressure to start this game from both teams. Bulldogs had it locked in for a little bit, but then it was Melbourne's big guns who were cleaner when everybody else was fumbling. Petrarca and Oliver, they've only had the 5 disposals between them. It doesn't seem like much, but 3 of those contested and 3 of those in really crucial situations where they were super clean and got it forward. And then it was just a weight of numbers. Langdon had arrived from that far side wing. Great positioning.
He does it well.
Kicks a nice goal.
He does it very well.
Yep.
I'm just looking at Dunkley. I've got a feeling Dunkley may be running with Petrarca. Now, not this stoppage.
Langdon with the first goal of the season. Melbourne one straight. Dogs yet to score. Gawn swats it down back in the middle, then becomes tackler on McRae. Says play on. Hand pass got it to English. Back to Treloar. Kicks to the wing and the Bont takes the mark. So the league MVP last year, down to half forward for the Bulldogs. Hannon can't mark. Joel Smith attacks it hard. Knocks it away to Jordan. To Spargo. Hands it back out wide to Joel Smith. Demons up over halfway. Chips it short to McDonald. Marks between wing and half forward.
As Fritsch is the only main target inside the 50, so holds it for a moment and then kicks inboard to Jack Viney.
That was outstanding by Joel Smith down in front of us.
Between wing and half forward, fires a long kick. Brown's got about 3 to compete against. Got to the back where Williams shrugged the tackle, ducked the head and then gets the hand pass to Caleb Daniel. 1-2 with Bailey Williams. Kicks out to the southern stand. The foot race is on. Racing after it is Hunt. He gets there first for Melbourne. Comes to a stop. Looks for options. Kicks inboard. And Alex Neil-Bullen takes the mark at left half forward.
Nobody stands on it, so he goes for a stroll and sends it deep inside 50. Ben Brown, the running start, the juggled mark. Brown's got it, forward pocket, 30 out.
I know you feel...
He plays on, opens up the angle, snapping right boot. The bender is good. The D's have the first 2. And from last year's decider, you can make that 18 of the last 19. 5 minutes into the opening term, Melbourne 2 straight, Dogs yet to score before Cameron Ling and Nick Malthouse downstairs to Tim Hodges.
5 minutes into the year for Mitch Hannon, and it's not a good start for his teeth. It looks like he might have lost a couple out there. He's come to the bench, he's in the hands of the trainers, and they're trying to patch him up, but it's going to take a while. He's bleeding heavily from the mouth, and I think that might be at least one tooth stuck out there on the G.
That's not the way you want to start things for season 2022. It's funny that the way that Melbourne are bodylining the ball, their hardness, and then their efficiency when they move the ball forward. And I know after a pre-season you can feel as fit as you like, but the first real game you're blowing. Tim English was caught in absolute no man's land. He needed to be there where Ben Brown took that mark. He was just gassed.
Bounce back in the middle. Jackson into the ruck up against English. English one down the tap. Dunkley, it's a free kick going English's way. He quickly takes the free kick, goes short to McRae, plays on immediately, still inside the centre square. Kick looking for Rourke Smith, free at right half forward. Has enough time to gather. His dribbling kick, not good. Picked off by Jackson, spun out of the traffic. Did well against Rourke Smith. Got it to Langdon, short to Cozzy Pickett. Not 15, call to play on. Turns and kicks into the middle of the ground, and Jackson's involved again.
Lays a hand pass to Petrarca to Salem. Up over halfway, the Demons. Hand pass down the southern wing. Here's Langdon. Sweeping hand pass out wide. Fritsch grabs it. Tackled by Richards. Ball comes free. Rourke Smith fumbles. Over the boundary line, says spin that in. 60 out from Melbourne's goal.
Yeah, just a bit English thinks he's having a bit of a breather when Gawn goes forward. Jackson comes on, so he will miss Martin today.
So Jackson and English to do the ruck battle here at half forward for the Demons. English in front, wins down the tap, trying to gather now. Is able to squeeze a kick out towards the southern wing. Hunt's in front of Cordy and a chance to gather. 1-2 with Salem. Back to Hunt. Squeeze the kick up towards half forward. Cozzy Pickett. Huge fly. Just didn't come down with it on the back of Rourke Smith. Almost an electric start for Cozzy. The Bulldogs regather. A chance to Bailey Smith. Kicks long towards Norton. Mays right there with him.
Downfield, Clinchy.
Downfield free kick.
Against Cozzy.
Going to take it. In fact, Norton will take it.
How much of it did he have, Lingy?
Oh, no, it was a good decision by the ump. I just wanted it paid.
Norton into the pocket, Shacky the target. Spoil comes over the back. Vandermeer keeps it alive. Hunter's hand pass picked off. Loose ball, half back for the D's. Oliver hands and knees, hands it out to Langdon. His kick good, finds Gawn, who marks defensive side of the wing. The Demons with the first 2 goals. 7.5 minutes in, they're 2 straight, Dogs yet to score.
That's interesting. Gawn comes up, takes the mark. Jackson runs past him. It's just a double team against English at the moment.
Brown was really the only marking target at half forward. Competed against 3 Bulldogs, brought it down. Petrarca couldn't gather, Brown could. Hand pass to Ed Langdon, 60 out. Melbourne into attack. Kick to the left footer off the inside shin. And it's going to work out as Jack Viney takes the mark. Pretty much directly in front, 35 metres out.
In amongst 3 Melbourne players, about 35 out from goal. The work rate at the moment from the Demons is outstanding. They are winning the contest, and then they are swarming forward, using the ball beautifully. Brilliant signs for the Demons. 8 minutes into this one, they look so sharp.
So Jack Viney, his dad Todd was a part of the flag unveiling, played in the grand final in 88. Jack played in 2021 and puts through Melbourne's third. The Demons off with a hot start here at the MCG, and through 9 minutes at 3 straight nothing to the Bulldogs yet to score.
Lingy, one of the things I've noticed, which the Dogs are getting found out, any time they get the ball outside 50, Melbourne are swamping back. They're superbly fit, and they're getting either one of the tools back, either Jackson back or Gawn back. So far the Dogs have elected not to chip it around, just to, 1, to get a breather, 2 is to find the space, because at the moment they're kicking it in. It's not only been dominated in the air, their crumbing has been superior, their attacking the ball is superior, so it leaves the Dogs with 5 entrances without a score. The Melbourne go in there 5 times, end up with 3 goals. They're going to have to change their methodology of going inside front 50.
It's the ball game so far. Mick Malthouse on Grandstand AFL as Gawn wins the tap down to Sparrow. Gets the centre break. Cozzy flies again. No mark. Spills to Fritsch. He snaps. He hits the post. Gee, they were trying to bend that in. Maybe 1 fewer coats of paint that may have gone through. 19 points. The Demons lead. They're all over the Dogs. 3-1 to yet to score.
Caleb Daniel brings the Bulldogs back into play. Good kick the found Williams at right half back. Wants to move it quickly up to Rourke Smith, who almost dropped the mark. Little juggle under the Great Southern stand. Wants to play on because he has Bailey Dale running shotgun. Didn't take it cleanly. Petrarca put pressure on him. The hand pass almost chopped off by Langdon. Worked it back to Petrarca. 1-2 in Neil Bullen. Now Neil Bullen the hand pass to Jackson. Kicks towards right half forward. Fritsch takes the mark. Melbourne look for options inside 50. Brown on the lead. At full stretch takes the mark. There was little Alex Keith could do. A good block from Cosy Pickett prevented the second man up. Ben Brown will have a shot deep in the left forward pocket from 40 metres out.
This is scintillating footy by the Demons. I reckon with the Western Bulldogs, though, they've got to start worrying less about what songs were played in nightclubs or sung out in the ground and somehow get a hand on the Demons. Melbourne are going at 85% disposal efficiency. That is off the charts. They need to just slow the Demons up however they can. Pressure, chase, whatever they can do.
Ben Brown starts outside 50, comes inside and hangs it out to the left and misses a minor score. Melbourne by 20 points, 3-2-20 for the Bulldogs yet to score. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Mitch Hannon has been patched up for the Bulldogs. I think he's a tooth missing, and unfortunately for him, I think the mouth guard was in his sock when he had that head clash, so it is back in the mouth and he's back out on the field.
Protects very few teeth there, the mouth guard. As Daniel goes on a run out of the defensive 50, chips short to Rourke Smith, and he goes shorter still.
This is where they're getting pushed to the boundary, not bringing it back inside, can't find an inside target, and every one of them now is a contested footy.
There's Norton in the headband, just chips it down the line. Wanted Waitman, he's outsized, punched away by Bowie over the boundary line, and a throw in right on halfway, southern side of the ground. Floodlights starting to take over.
Dog-like. Melbourne are forcing them wide, not letting them back inside. It's not a matter of taking a chance, just settle the game down a little bit.
Toss back into play. Ed Langdon comes up with it again. Leading possession getter on the ground with 7. Quick hand pass forward to Clayton Oliver. Swings out onto the right boot. Sends it long inside 50. Fritsch in from the side. Couldn't take the mark. Front and centre. Gathered by Keith. Kicks up to the wing. Max Gawn set himself. He marks on his chest. Despite the late challenge coming in from Dunkley.
The Premiership skipper and the All-Australian captain, Max Gawn, kicks to half forward. Petrarca the target. Dale there with him. Spoils. Dale wins the footy. Hand pass to Keith. Off half back. Kicks a high ball down the southern boundary line. Gawn reaching over the back. No mark. Spills to Waitman. He's onto it for the Dogs at half back. Kicks down the wing. No one there. And Joel Smith takes the intercept mark for the Demons.
It's the exact play we're saying is they're just wasting the ball, not looking in board, just to settle the game down. Don't let Melbourne have it on their terms, and that's exactly what the Dogs are not doing.
Joel Smith short to Stephen May, boundary side, sends it up towards half forward, it gets to the back. Christian Petrarca's onto it, deep in the left forward pocket. His dribbling shot is across the face. A chance for Keith to try and gather for the Bulldogs. Spargo corrals him. Hand pass over the top to Daniel, tapping around the boundary line, and he can't keep it in. In front of the Demons fans in the Ponsford stand. Everything for the Bulldogs is hard work at the moment. Melbourne by 20 points.
And they can't get a breather, the Bulldogs defenders. It is living there, 10 inside 50s to 5 Melbourne's way, and they're just starting to feel the pressure and just bang it on their boot.
Demons with the only 20 points in the game from the stoppage. Little kick to centre half back. Rourke Smith onto it. Hand pass to Dale. Kicks into the middle of the ground. It favoured Joel Smith. He fumbled too. Back in the middle. Langdon does very well. Taps it to his own advantage. Melbourne back with it. Kicks it deep in the pocket. Brown searching for it. Back with the flight. He spills it. Boy, did that lack a little bit of polish. That looked like round 140. Out of bounds it goes. Left forward pocket for the D's.
I know it's early days, but it's almost like as if Melbourne have had an extra month of training. Honestly, it's just the Dogs are just off an inch, and they seem to be really dragging their feet.
11-5, the inside 50 starting to add up. From the throw-in, Bailey Smith crumbed it, kick towards half-back, it clears. Sharkey as the foot race is on between he and Jordan. Jordan gets there first for Melbourne. Hand pass to Fritsch at right half forward. Looks to kick inboard. Risky kick for Oliver. Almost a great lunging effort from Dunkley. Couldn't complete the mark. Salem's caught hot. Ponsonpelli, great tackle. And the Bont takes it back for the Bulldogs at left half back. Melbourne leading by 20 points.
That's what they needed, isn't it, Corbs, from Bontempelli? Just that hardness from the skipper to nail a big tackle.
The bond to Treloar, hand pass to Daniel, kicks to Rourke Smith across the half-back line, up to the wing to Dale. He turns hurriedly, kicks to Norton, skidding on his knees and marking at half-forward. Stephen May's on the mark, right on the 50-metre arc. Norton opens up the angle, kicks it right to the goal square, and Gawn getting back, punches it through for a minor score. It's the Dogs' first of the season. 15 minutes into the opening quarter. Melbourne 3-2. The Dogs 1 behind. Melbourne by 19.
Strange to find the Gawn in the goal square punching it through from a kick from outside 50. That's to me is a wasted kick, Lingy. Yeah. That one's hold it up, make them have to go the play.
And that's going to be the challenge for the Bulldogs. If Aaron Norton's up high, who's in the goal square? Bowie brings the Demons back into play. Works it up towards half-back where Hunt has it. Through the hands of Brayshaw to Jordan. Well, it was taken high by Williams. Melbourne take the advantage. Petrarca works it forward to Jack Viney. Inside the 50 in the right forward pocket. Eyes the goals. It's across the face. It won't score. A chance for Rourke Smith to gather. Gets the hand pass away to Gardner. He kicks up to Dunkley. Almost did enough to hold the mark. Harms spoils him late. Here's a chance for Melbourne once more. Spargo swoops onto it. Fires on goal and he misses to the left.
Well, that's 2 shots at goal. Melbourne could have made a bigger certainty of it. Jack Viney had Ben Brown clear in a lead. Needed to hit him. And then Spargo had other options. Just a couple of wasted chances there. They're still playing brilliant footy. That's not a dig at them, but you just got to keep doing the team things.
D's by 20. Liberatore from the kick out. Gives it to Bailey Smith. He kicks to Norton. There's a free for a hold. And it's going to go the Dogs' way. Advantage applied at centre half forward. Treloar to Hunter. Kicks a bouncing ball to the vacant goal square. Waitman getting back. May gets there and knocks him out of the way. Dogs keep it alive. Still with Waitman. Got it from Shackey. He's tackled. Took on the tackler holding the ball. And the Demons' desperation belongs with them on the last line, just denying the Bulldogs free kick for James Jordan in front of the behind post. Melbourne 3-3, the Dogs 1 behind. D's by 20 after 17 minutes.
The Demons fans at the punt road end love that. They turn it over though. James Jordan's kick to half-back, intercepted by Dunkley, who comes inboard to Bailey Smith. Just slightly too far out, 55 metres out. Veers out to the right, kicks long. Waitman there. Flew can't take the mark as it goes through for a minor score. Tim Hodges on the boundary with Melbourne leading by 19 points.
A Clinchy, real concern down on the Demon bench for Christian Salem. He had his left knee heavily strapped coming into this game. He's done something to it and limped off the ground. He took one look at the doctor and shook his head. They've taken him straight down to the rooms. You can always tell when they struggle to get down the stairs to the rooms, which he had horrible trouble with. I'm not sure we'll be seeing him back out there, guys.
That was in that tackle, Timmy, from Marcus Bontempelli. I reckon got twisted underneath. That's a real concern.
They went short to Oliver, and his kicking skills not always his strength. Turns it over on the wing. McRae for the Dogs under pressure. Gave it to Bailey Smith. Had it, lost it. And the pack forms behind him. Will have a ball up in the middle of the ground as Richards comes up holding the footy. It was mayhem before the bounce. Late changes for both teams. We've got 19 out there for both sides from last year's decider.
Go on, one down the tap to Petrarca. Long kick towards half forward. Ben Brown one-on-one with Keith. Ben Brown worked him around the ball. Bounces on goal and misses to the left-hand side. Great agile versatility from Big Ben. As Melbourne lead by 20 points.
Yeah, well, he's certainly come out of the blocks compared to last year. It took a long time to get going, Brown, and he's just taken off from where he started or finished last year.
Well, Dale comes wide with the kick out to Shackey. His kick inboard to Treloar, turns it over. Hurried kick to the wing, wanted Hannon. And instead it's Jordan who takes the intercept mark. Of course, it's Jordan in the 23. He goes across the ground to Petrarca. Petrarca will just load up and kick it deep inside 50. Ben Brown down there, gone in from the side, can't mark. Bailey Smith back in defence, hand pass to Bailey Dale, hand pass along the line to Dunkley. He's dispossessed in the tackle. Spargo tries to keep it alive, and in the end, as he's tackled, it comes off his boot and inadvertently out of bounds on the full, so the Dogs will get the free at half back. Bailey Smith to take it. Melbourne by 20, approaching time on opening quarter.
Goals to Langdon, Brown and Viney. For the Demons, it all came in the first 9 minutes. Smith kicks long up towards half-back, clears the pack onto it. Dunkley gets the hand pass away. Hunter looking for options one way then the other. forced to just kick off a standing start. Tough one for Hannon. And in front, the mark's taken by Alex Neil-Bullen for Melbourne. Just looking like a lot of fluency from the Dogs early. Kicks to Clayton Oliver, who takes the mark just short of the AFL logo on the members' side. Options in the middle of the ground. Kicks to Viney, well shepherded by Sparrow. The lead comes from Ben Brown. Kicks to him, centre half forward. Now goes for Harms on the lead. Good pick up on the half volley. Gets the hand pass away to Viney. Shrugs a tackle, 50 metres out. Kicks to Jackson, backpedaling, just dropped the mark. In the right forward pocket, socket off the ground by Tom McDonald. He misses to the left.
Oh, Jackson had done all the work too.
Melbourne by 21.
Just spilt it at the last second. It's good use of the body.
Just the forward line of the Dogs is just collapsing on itself all the time, or collapsing forward. Just no competitiveness.
Dogs out a defensive 50 through McRae, but it's coming back. Neil-Bullen at the drop. Hand pass out wide. Spargo at half forward. Kicks inside 50. Dale gets there on the hop. Hands it away to Bontempelli. Sends his kick to Liberatore. Sends it over his head. Bowie takes the mark and then Hannon makes contact. Bowie drops the footy and the ump says, "Come with me, Mitch Hannon." That'll be 50. And Jake Bowie will be within throwing distance of the goalpost.
Yeah, that's there on the replay. Hannon ran in and just didn't need to swing that arm around. I know fans will probably say it was a little bit Tiggy Touchwood, but when you
come in late too,
tap the arms and the ball's there, and it falls out. The umpire will pay that every time. That's just silly.
Gee, it's a short 50 as well. He's still probably 25, 30 metres out, slight angle. Played 7 games, Jake Bowie, and that is the 7-game win streak Melbourne are on, so he's never played in a losing outfit. He moves in, the teenager, the premiership winner, and now a first goal for him in AFL footy to start the premiership defence. And the nightmares haven't gone away for the Dogs. It's all Melbourne in quarter number 1. The D's 4-5-29. The Bulldogs just 2 behinds. It's Melbourne by 27 points on Grandstand AFL.
And the only thing to hang on to for the Dogs fans listening right now is they should be a lot more in front, Melbourne. 17 inside 50s to 8. And I reckon those 8 inside 50s for the Dogs have been in there for a total of about 8 seconds. It's gone in and come straight back out.
No, I don't think there's a mark inside the front 50. No, on the 50, but not inside it.
No, and they haven't slowed Melbourne down at all. Melbourne have only missed a couple of chances themselves, maybe going inside forward 50. Petrarca's had 10 disposals. Langdon's been superb on the wing with 8 disposals. They're all over them.
The thoughts of Cameron Ling and Mick Moldhouse with you on Grandstand AFL. Back in the middle, English one down the tap, but it's Oliver for Melbourne who gets it to Neil-Bullen, kicks towards half forward, and Crozier takes the mark backpedaling against Harms. Wanted to move it quickly, but slipped over, so has to push back behind his mark at left half back. Short option is Hunter. Kicks to him, but advances the Dogs' cause no further. Not a lot of movement further afield, so it goes back to Crozier. Inside the defensive 50, wanted to switch, instead goes short to McRae. The Dogs looking to possess the footy. Time on in this opening turn. Melbourne by 27 points. McRae looks to drive a long kick towards Bontempelli. Norton in from the side, couldn't take the mark. Joel Smith brought it down. A chance for Cordy with his head over the footy, couldn't gather cleanly. Hunter went in with his head first, couldn't gather. But he will get a late free kick for high contact. Just as Tomlinson got the kick away, the Dogs will take the free kick through Lockie Hunter, who was named at the sub but came in as one of the late inclusions between wing and half forward.
So Hunter just checks his kick, wants English, flies for it, no mark. Neil-Bullen lays the tackle as it comes to ground and a ball up. 60 out from the Bulldogs' goal. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
I reckon Toby Bedford's a bit like you and me, Corbin, just wants to get on the ground. He's asked the physio 4 times whether he can get ready and do a warm-up with Christian Salem down in the rooms with that knee injury. All 4 times he's just said, cool your jets and just stay there till we tell you to warm up.
Viney just squeezing a kick away from the stoppage. He was taken high in the process, so free kick and centre half back for the D's. Melbourne by 27. Lockie Hunter, media reports on Monday he was going to be dropped. Then he was named in the 22 last night, named as the sub an hour before the start, and then Jason Johannesson injured in the warm-up, so he ended up being in the starting 22, and Jamara Ugle-Hagan is the sub, if you can make sense of all that. As Brayshaw goes short to Tomlinson at half-back.
Wasn't it just one big sting, Corbs?
conspiracy theories are in vogue, Lingy.
Adam Tomlinson at half-back for the D's. Kicks up to half-forward. Ben Brown comes racing out. Crushes the pack. Bailey Smith with a hand pass forward for the Dogs, and Jordan can't keep it in play as it goes out at right half-forward for the D's. As always, we'd love to hear from you on the SMS 0437 774 774 with your thoughts and observations and any questions you've got for our experts Mick Moldhouse and Cameron Link. Melbourne by 27 points late in the opening quarter. English wins down the tap, but Petrarca couldn't take it. Melbourne gather it through Bowie off the outside of the boot. Sends it 7 or 8 rows back, and it's dropped in the Ponsford stand. The Bulldogs will take the free kick at left half back.
Well, it's been really disappointing start for the Dogs. They just don't look as energetic as a side that wants to make amends. And I know you can't resurrect last year's grand final, but there's little contest, really.
Daniel heads to English again over his head. Brayshaw flew early, gives away the free. Advantage applied. Libba away to the Bont. Hand pass to Dunkley. Gives it to Vandermeer. Kick smothered. Wow. Stephen May, exceptional. Smothers it, wins the footy. To Viney, to Harms. Hand pass to Petrarca. And the Demons send it back to halfway. Out in front of Gawn and out of bounds as he and Keith race after the footy. But nice work from Stephen May. And the crowd awake to that. A majority of them in Melbourne colours. And premiership flag unfurled earlier tonight with 8 past players, along with the president and the chief executive, the Demons by 27.
Gawn wins down the tap to Petrarca, who's tackled immediately and penalised.
So that's that new interpretation of saying he's had prior opportunity, and it was barely prior, but that's what they're going to pay. Umpires throughout these early rounds, if you even get a fraction of a second to be able to dispose of the footy and don't, the umpires will pay it.
So English goes short, and the mark is taken by Richards. He wants to play on around. Sparrow drives a kick towards half forward. Good vision, spotted Dunkley. The hand pass away to Crozier. Gets to 50. Can the Dogs strike late here? Hayden Crozier on the run. Puts it through. It took 27 minutes, but finally the Dogs are on the board in the season opener. Melbourne 4-5-27 to the Bulldogs 1-2-8. And it came through a defender. Hayden Crozier on the run.
He's always been a lovely kick. Once he's settled, he's always going to give it a nudge. They've actually found a lot of spare space on that southern stand side. They haven't always got the ball out there as quick as what they need, and when they have got it out there, generally Melbourne have blocked up the forward line. That's one occasion when they're able to get the ball across. And I think Ed Richards actually didn't aim for his target. I reckon he went a bit wider. Intercept, a good mark by a Dogs player, hand pass across and then set it up. But that's the movement that does trap Melbourne, or trap any side if you move it quickly and get a runner running onto 50.
You have to take it off that line quickly, don't you, Mick? Because otherwise May will just read it every time.
Yep.
Gawn wins the hit out back in the middle, but the Dogs come up with a footy. Dunkley gets his kick out to half forward. Bontempelli at the drop, no mark with the pressure from Joel Smith. And the Demons win it back. Viney from half back kicks down the wing. Flying forward is Sparrow. Goes back, collects the footy, hand pass to Petrarca, kick smothered on the way through, lands on the chest of Richards. He's locked up immediately by Neil Bullen.
And that's the other thing the umpires are going to do, which is a good decision. At the moment, they're wrapped up and tackled, and it's not going to come out, blow the whistle straight away and ball it up. That's how they're going to try and avoid the dangerous tackles, that last slinging motion.
God, one down to the tap and straight to Treloar. Kicked in the middle of the ground. Waitman crashed the pack. Ricochets out to Brayshaw. He squeezed a kick towards half forward. But Crozier takes the intercepting mark for the Dogs. Quickly to Treloar by hand. Kick looking for Hannon, who was caught stationary. Tomlinson worked his way in front. Spoiled it down. Hannon was taken in the back by Cozzy Pickett. Trying to lay the tackle, and the Bulldogs will take it in front of the 2 interchange benches. Melbourne by 21.
So Hannon sends it down to half forward. Bontempelli reaching forward and marking. And the Bont takes it. 55 out. Opens up the angle. Kicks to the hot spot. Waitman flew. He's going to get a free for a push.
Yeah, front on contact. Yeah. Clearly there.
Yeah. Good, well done by Waitman. He saw the player come at him, so he actually moved closer in to draw that contact. Don't worry about that. That was there.
The Melbourne fans just saw the replay. They weren't all that happy. But Cody Waitman has a set shot. 20 out, dead in front.
Smith actually tried to avoid the contact, but you can't come back without having any eyes on the footy.
Waitman moves in, cashes in the gift. Two late ones for the Dogs. After the Demons started like they'd been shot out of a cannon, all of a sudden their lead is just 15 at quarter time. 4-5-29, the Bulldogs 2-2-14. That first quarter running 29 minutes. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
The substitute has been made for the Demons. Toby Bedford will come into this game. You can see him just walking out to the huddle. Mark Williams has his arm around him, just geeing him up. So it's a shocking start to the year, unfortunately, for Christian Salem. He came into this match with a heavily strapped left knee. He aggravated it early in that first term when he had to be helped down to the rooms, and unfortunately he is out of this game.
Thanks, Hodges. So quarter time here at the MCG in the season opener, and it's Melbourne 4-5-29 leading the Bulldogs 2-2-14. For the Demons, goals to Langdon, Brown, Viney and Bowie. For the Western Bulldogs, Crozier and Waitman. So the Dogs are the last two goals of the quarter. In the cricket, another wicket for the Australians. So Pakistan 4 for 285, needing 221 once for victory. Babar Azam on 151 and Mohammad Rizwan on 7. It's all unfolding on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Ready for some new adventures? Back Roads is back. From the macho mining town of Tom Price in WA to outback Queensland and Tasmania's Cradle Mountain, join me, Heather Hewitt, and some of my fellow guest explorers for a journey to some of this country's most remote towns, full of surprising and memorable characters.
All new Back Roads. New adventures Monday nights on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Season 2022, the fans are back. The colour and soundtrack of our great game. Let's go. Clayton Oliver swoops onto it for Melbourne from 50 to the top of the goal square. Fritsch is there, flies, can't take it. Cozzy Pickett, good shepherd, Langdon onto it, snaps around the right foot and puts it through.
Nobody stands on it, so he goes for a stroll and sends it deep inside 50. Ben Brown, the running start, the juggle mark. He plays on, opens up the angle, snapping right boot. The defender is good. The D's have the first two. Sends his kick to Liberatore, sends it over his head. Bowie takes the mark and then Hannon makes contact. Bowie drops the footy and the up says, come with me, Mitch Hannon. That'll be 50. Played 7 games, Jake Bowie, and that is the 7-game win streak Melbourne are on, so he's never played in a losing outfit. He moves in, the teenager, the premiership winner, and now a first goal for him in AFL footy to start the premiership defence. And the nightmares haven't gone away for the Dogs.
Kick towards half forward, good vision, spotted Dunkley. The hand pass away to Crozier, gets to 50. Can the Dogs strike late here? Hayden Crozier on the run, puts it through. It took 27 minutes, but finally the Dogs are on the board in the season opener.
55 out, opens up the angle, kicks to the hot spot. Waitman flew. He's going to get a free for a push.
Yeah, front on contact.
Waitman moves in, cashes in the gift. 2 late ones for the Dogs.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Great to have your company wherever you're listening on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. Grandstand AFL from the MCG. Matt Clinch alongside Corbin Middlemass, Cameron Ling and Mick Moldhouse are your experts with the Demons, leading by 15 points at quarter time.
And the Dogs late there, Mick, got themselves out of a spot of bother. Only the 15-point margin at the moment. That flatters the Bulldogs because Melbourne, for 95% of that quarter, absolutely dominated. Didn't quite finish their work a little bit towards the end of that quarter, but that's probably fatigue in the first game at real genuine intensity. Missed a couple of targets and missed a couple of opportunities. And the Bulldogs get those 2 late goals, and they're by no means back in the game because of the difference in the way that the two teams were playing. But on a scoreboard now, they can at least settle down and take a breath and think, oh, okay, we've played our absolute worst football we can possibly play. We're only 15 points down.
The other thing too, Lingy, you said early in the game, and I reckon we were probably 10 minutes in, and you said, I think the efficiency rate was around about 83%. It's dropped to 76. The Dogs are still at 70. If for someone who hasn't watched the game and just looks at raw stats, there's absolutely nothing in the possession getting. 101, 104, Melbourne's favour. But even the contested football is favouring think it's almost the same, 38 each.
Yep.
Got it written down.
And that was plus 8 Melbourne's way
Yes,
at one stage in that quarter.
And inside 50s, I think it's 12 to 16, and you think, it's 12 to 16. There's not a lot in that, but it's the efficiency of how Melbourne went forward in that first three. As you said, they've hit the post once, and I don't care which way you describe. There were two selfish acts of play because Melbourne players both boys had an opportunity to do something better with it, put the player in a better spot. Paid a penalty, they kicked points. The Dogs kicked 2 late ones. It does give them a sniff, but they've got to change. They've really got to change that forward line. I don't mean by personnel, by structure, because at the moment the goals have come really hard, whereas Melbourne's goals and points for that matter have come at a real. They've just cut through like a knife with butter.
Second quarter set to get underway. Melbourne leading by 15 points after the Bulldogs kicked the last 2 goals of the opening term. Bounce in the middle, Gawn and English. Gawn trying to get the clearance out of the middle of the ground. Couldn't get boot to ball. Dunkley's hand pass for the Dogs is just a bit too wide for McRae. Tries to make it work. Gets the hand pass to Dale and now back to Dunkley. Over the top to Bontempelli. Can the Bulldogs start with more purpose? That's a good kick. Vandermeer dropped the mark. Uncontested. Hand pass to Norton. Swings onto the left boot. Snaps across his body. Bending back. He's got it. And the Bulldogs have got it inside 30 seconds. 3 goals on the trot. And Melbourne's lead is cut back to 9 points. The Demons 4-5-29 to the Bulldogs 3-2-20. It's taken a while, but the Bulldogs have arrived. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Christian Salem has just walked up the race, hobbling. He's got the tracksuit on. He's out for the night with that left knee, so scans will determine how bad that is tomorrow, I would imagine. Just after the quarter-time break for the Bulldogs, their medical staff wandered over to where Mitch Hannon had a head clash in that first term. They studied the ground, about a 10-metre patch. They were searching for one of his missing teeth, so unfortunately they didn't find it. So Mitch Hannon will be at the dentist tomorrow.
Just getting into that centre square, that's where it started. They looked a lot harder. Now, it's early days for second quarter, but the Dogs just look better structured.
Demons with the first 4, Dogs with the next 3. Gawn wins the head out straight to Dunkley though. Hand pass reaches Bontempelli. Kicks to half forward for the Bulldogs. Hannon up to meet it. Gets there on the bounce. Kicks off his right boot to the top of the goal square. They come from all directions. Spills to Norton. Can he do it again? He snaps. He misses. Out to the left. Gee, momentum turning in this game. An 8-point lead for Melbourne.
You don't blame him having a shot there because he's feeling good and he had the one, but he did have Libber on. A simple handball would have popped it through, but yeah, Dunkley, McRae, Bontempelli in the middle of the ground. They've started this second quarter brilliantly.
Stephen May brings the Demons back into play. Long towards Ben Brown. Couldn't take the mark. Keith pinched it. Hand pass to Crozier. Was that opportunity not paid? Clayton Oliver gathers. Kicks to vacant space at left half forward. Straight to the boundary line to Libber.
You know what we're going to be debating all year, Clinchy?
What's the right
call? Definition of immediately.
Yes.
Because umpires will determine whether or not a player was tackled immediately. Could they dispose of the ball immediately? And that's how they're going to make their decisions on holding the ball.
Ryan Gardner takes the free kick for the Dogs. Kicks up to half forward. Tomlinson spotted down. Smith got the half pass to Cordy. Late whistle. It was a throw and the Demons will take it. Angus Brayshaw to take it at left half back with Melbourne by 8.
Second umpire.
50.
I reckon he asked the question. I reckon you're allowed to ask. Maybe he just said, look, I did hand pass it. But I don't think that's abuse. I'm all for the fact, don't give abuse, but let's not get too pressured. That's gone 57 metres too. He must have been a bit harsher in saying that.
Good hearing Mick to be able to hear what he said.
He might have said bloody. So another 7 metres.
So Angus Brayshaw within striking range now. He'll kick from right on 50. No, he's going to go the pass towards Max Gawn. In front of him, Dunkley could have been taken high, no whistle. Gawn looks to dribble, kick to the goal mouth. Great pick up from Jackson, couldn't get boot to ball. Comes to Spargo, to Oliver, standing start, snaps to the top of the goal square. There's 4 Dogs underneath it. And Bailey Dale hugs it to his chest. 10 metres out from the goals at the Punt Road end.
I just love little things about young players. Jackson's 200 centimetres and 100 kilos. He picked that up like he was a little rover then.
Dale out to half-back, Cordy flew. Hand pass from Brayshaw picked off. That's Hannon. Dogs back with it. Members wing. Bailey Smith goes on a run with the mullet flowing. Kicks straight to Brayshaw. Turns it over. Angus Brayshaw back in the headgear again this year. Looks for Gawn, who flies for it. No mark. Spills to Jordan, who's been busy for Melbourne. Hand pass to Oliver. He's wrapped up. Dunkley's got him. It's holding the ball.
He's picked his game up, Dunkley. He was not sided, but late in the first quarter, did very well and has followed up. His kicking isn't exactly what you'd like. Maybe he's...
Sends one on the bounce back to Gardner. Gardner retreats to Keith, and the switch is on as he sends his drop punt out to Crozier. Kicked the Dogs first of the night. It came late in the opening term. Still on the back flank, has a bounce, goes short, and English marks. Still in the defensive half.
Well done by Crozier. Could have blasted away like they did in the first quarter, and it comes straight back. Not now. They're starting to hold the ball, the Dogs.
Now they've got to speed up this switch, though, because it's on. They can move it quicker.
Back to Gardner at half-back now to Bailey Smith on the members' wing, and now up to Shackey, who takes the mark at right half forward. Trelaw's free. Spotted him right on 50. Gives the hand pass to Bailey Dale. He can finish on the run. You know how it ends. And the Western Bulldogs all of a sudden are running hot. 4 on the trot, and it's back to a 2-point ball game. Melbourne 4-5-29 to the Bulldogs 4-3-27. What's changed? Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling with you on Grandstand AFL.
Well, what's changed has been in the middle of the ground. Mick just mentioned it, Josh Dunkley. His physical nature, his contested ball wins have been important, but they're now controlling the footy as well. So two very distinct switches then in the one passage of play. A slow, backwards, methodical, just shift the Melbourne defensive structure over the ground, and then the switch back to this side of the ground, the commentary box side, was quicker. They went ping, ping, ping down the ground. Ball, the game opens up. Bailey Dale gets the run past, and for his skill level, that's a simple little goal. It's a really good build-up by the Western Bulldogs.
Similar trimmings to the grand final as well. It was 4-1, if you remember, at quarter time in that game. It was 4-2 here, and the Dogs kicked 6-1 in the second term to take a 19-point lead at the midway stage of that third quarter. So they dominated that period of the game. They're within 2 points here after falling behind by 27 in the opening quarter. The Dogs got it forward and then win it back on halfway as McRae kicks into the centre square for Trelaw. Trelaw looks inside the attacking 50. Norton reaching for it, can't mark, trying to go back with it. Close to the boundary line. Langdon's happy to see it out.
Oh, he paid it. I thought he might.
Pinged for deliberate, walking it over the line. He didn't want to keep it in. And umpire Jacob Mollison's hot on him, so Aaron Norton will get the free left forward pocket.
That is harsh.
And he's not going to argue either, because that's straight 50. You can't. All you've got to do is go, oh, well, the player agrees with you. No, he doesn't. He just inwardly is boiling over that.
He juggled it over. He didn't have a lot of room there to do anything else.
It's not the side for the left footer, so he'll go off the non-preferred right. It doesn't matter. Aaron Norton knows where the major opening is. He puts it through and gives the Dogs the lead for the first time in the game. 7-minute mark of the second term. The Bulldogs 5-3-33. Melbourne 4-5-29. 4-point lead for the Dogs. 7 travelled second term.
You know, you can just tell from the umpire's body language sometimes he was going to pay that. I could see him going to pay it. What else could Langdon do there?
Well, it was out. It was almost out.
Yes.
I mean, that's ridiculous for a kick. But let's not forget the free kick. The game itself, what the Dogs have done, now whether it's been discussed or what, they've taken the pace away from Melbourne playing the game they want, but all of a sudden Melbourne haven't got the numbers in the background in the back 50 because the ball was moved at the way the Dogs want to move it, so therefore they're dragging the players up to meet the ball. It's a brilliant move by the Dogs.
Gawn went down the tap, got it to Oliver, quick hand pass to Sparrow, trying to work it back to Oliver, lost it, sock it off the ground by Bailey Smith, gets the Dogs to half forward. Vandermeer tries to trap it in front, kick it to his own advantage. Jordan comes in for Melbourne, turn it over, Waitman to Shackey, the kick inside 50. Norton, good little deft touch, trying to work it to Cordy. Melbourne race back with the numbers. Norton couldn't soccer it forward, still a chance for Cordy, gets it to Trelaw, snaps on the right boot and puts it through. 6 on the trot for the Bulldogs.
Unbelievable.
Melbourne kicked the first 4 goals of the match. They got out by 27 points. And then the Dogs have kicked the last 6 goals from the 27-minute mark of the opening term to the 9-minute mark of the second. 6-3-39 to the Demons, 4-5-29. The Bulldogs by 10 points.
And just this quarter alone, 41 disposals to the Western Bulldogs, only 14 to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Now, this is a team that dominated the first quarter, Melbourne. They looked so good. All their prime movers were playing brilliantly. They were doing everything right. The Dogs have completely reversed this. This is very impressive by the Western Bulldogs.
Well, Smith and Dunkley have had a real say in that play so far, and not discounting any player that's put his hands up. They've actually got the contested footy. What is the contested? 11-8. So that says a little bit about it as well.
Dogs by 10 points after being down 27. Jackson wins it, but straight to Jackson McRae, who kicks out of the centre square. Libba marks, looks for Norton, who's out on the lead and marking. He's tough to stop in that scenario. And Aaron Norton will have another look at the sticks just left of centre. He'll kick from 30 out.
5-0 clearances this quarter. And their ball use, Mick, you're right. Even that one then, Libba took it and everyone heading in one direction just went back the other side, changed the angle. And Norton, you love that as a key forward when you get that sort of delivery into your forward line. Beautiful pass. Great play.
He's got 2 already. Norton's now got 3. The Dogs are smoking. 7-3-45. Melbourne 4-5-29. Bulldogs by 16 points after being down 27 in the opening term. 10 minutes into quarter number 2.
Well, now it's time for Melbourne to change up. Because what happens now is the Dogs of last year, this is what we've seen of a lot of last year, the Dogs just destroy sides with their pace, their precision, their numbers. Melbourne now have to reverse. Instead of being, I want the ball out wide and I can get it, now I've got to do is put a bit of work in on the Dogs and see if we can stop the play from going inside front 50. It's gone in there 13 times to 5. We've hardly moved. Go again. 6-1. Apologise.
At minimum, Melbourne midfielders got to be thinking this is a repeat ball up.
Absolutely.
The Dogs do not get a clearance. It's either ours or it's another ball up.
Back in the middle, Jackson up against English. English one down the tap, but Melbourne are going to emerge with it. Almost run down. Sparrow got the hand pass forward. Enough to turn it over though. Liberatore, the kick towards half forward. Hunter had it spoiled away from him. A chance for Melbourne. Langdon's hand pass turned it straight over to Liberatore of the Dogs. McRae receives the hand pass, kicks inside the 50. Shackey pushing forward. He can hand pass to Norton. He played on.
The ball.
Jordan tackled him holding the ball. Oh, they made a meal of that. Josh Shackey did all the right work, pushed forward. It would have been an easy set shot from 15 metres out. Tried to be unselfish and give it to Norton. Noah's in front of him. They made a meal of it.
It was a mistake, but it tells you a lot about their mindset of sharing the ball at the moment, the Dogs. Sharing the responsibility, sharing the workload.
Jordan takes the free kick for Melbourne, kicks to half back. Keith competes at ground level. It comes to English. The hand pass to Crozier. Dogs inside 50 again. Norton the target. May reaches over, spoils it away. Gets a dominant fist onto it and sees it across the boundary line in the right forward pocket for the Western Bulldogs. It's 7-3-45 to Melbourne. 4-5-29. 12 minutes gone, second term.
The grand final was a game of runs. Melbourne kicking 4 of the first 5. The Dogs 8 of the next 9. Well, we had Melbourne 4 to start the game. The Dogs have kicked the next 7 here for the boundary throw-in. Bailey Smith onto it. Hooks it from the forward pocket to the other pocket. Hannon flies, can't mark, follows up, pops it through. Make that 8 straight for the Bulldogs. The Doggies lead by 22 in what has been a dramatic shift in this game. A 49-point turnaround. 13 minutes into the second term. The Bulldogs 8-3, Melbourne 4-5. Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse.
Mick, before the game, we spoke a little bit about the Melbourne players who played really important roles in the Premiership last year, but relied so heavily on the Gawn, Oliver Petrarca, May, Lever type players. Right now, these are the players who have not touched the football in this quarter. Smith, Bowie, Harms, McDonald, Neil Bullen, Viney, Brown, Fritsch, Hunt, Pickett, Bedford, who's just come on, admittedly, and Tomlinson.
Over half the side.
They are those types of players who rely on some of the very best playing their best football. Now they've got to start getting themselves involved in the game and not waiting for Oliver and Petrarca.
Gleno was in touch on the SMS saying, I think the Bulldogs are shell-shocked in the first quarter. He's just texted in to say, I retract my previous concerns. They're flying. Melbourne have managed to get the clearance through Clayton Oliver. They've got it to half forward, and Sparrow's going to get the free... Spargo gets the free kick. And he's right on 50.
Man on the mark's gone back 5 metres. Now, that means he's allowed to move, but he can't run forward, I don't think.
No, I don't think he can move from there. No, he's stuck, so he gets an extra metre or 2 here, Spargo.
Spargo looking to stop the Bulldogs' run. His kick is out to the right, won't quite have the distance. Jackson in the pack. Caleb Daniel front and centre for the Dogs. Gets the hand pass away to Williams. Drives the Bulldogs out of defence. Norton flies and takes the mark at left half back.
He's threatening to pull this game apart. Aaron Norton kicks down the wing. Hannon gets there on the hop. Kicks back inside the centre square. Floating through Sparrow. Great courage. Takes the mark. The mark will be paid. He can't take advantage for that.
Melbourne fans don't care about the rules there, Corbs.
The Dogs by 22 after being down 27. Time on in the opening term. We've travelled only 14 minutes into the second. It's happened quickly. As Sparrow kicks to the big man at half forward. No mark. Spills to Petrarca. Hand pass along the arc to Harms. Gives it to Sparrow. Under pressure. Ball knocked down. Dunkley picks it up for the Bulldogs. Hand pass to Williams. Hurried kick into the middle of the ground.
May cleared the path for Tom McDonald to run onto it. Waitman almost ran him down. Dodging and weaving. Ran his full measure. Kicks towards Ben Brown. Thought he did enough to claim the mark. The umpire in the middle of the ground has paid it. Not the umpire inside the forward 50. Definitely had a fair chunk of it at its highest point.
It's a good call too. Jack McRae, which the other umpire who was controlling would have been blindsided. Knocked the ball out of Brown's hands once he'd already come to ground.
Well, legally hit it out of the hands. I don't think it would have been awarded for that. But that's a good call by the umpire because he did control it.
His right foot had just touched the ground, so whether he was fully stable, the Melbourne fans won't care about that. So Ben Brown, a chance to kick his second and try and bring Melbourne back into this contest from just inside 50. That's a beautiful kick. That's exactly what Demons fans want to see. And an interrupted start to season 2021. Kicked 3 goals in the grand final. He has 2 goals so far in the grand final rematch. Melbourne's first goals, it's a 21-minute mark of the first term, comes at the 16-minute mark of the second. The Bulldogs 8-3-51 to Melbourne 5-5-35. Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling with you.
Well, I guess what, for the game's sake, that Melbourne needed to get a goal on the board just to see if they could break it up and just see whether or not now the game can. The D's, well, they trail by about what is it? 3? It's only 3 goals, and we say only 3, even though the opposition just kicked 8 in a row or something. So the game does run in fluctuations, and particularly in today's football, because once you get momentum, it's very hard to stop. And to once you've got that momentum, it seems to follow you a fair bit. So you've got to keep it up. And that's why the Shacky one was a little bit of a disappointment for them. But again, it's that midfield, and if you can control the midfield, you control the game.
Ruck infringement back in the middle as Max Gawn penalised for pushing the opposing ruckman in Zane Cordy. So as a result, free kick for the Dogs. Cordy links up with Daniel, sends it inside 50. Shacky got hands to it, no mark. Spills to Harms of the Demons. Hand pass to Jordan. His kick knocked down. Vandermeer onto it at half forward for the Bulldogs. Hand pass goes back to Daniel. His kick smothered 2 from 60 out. Hands on it from McDonald and then wins possession. Hand pass to Jordan. Hand pass in the path of Viney. He's tripped over. No free kick. Crozier had it, lost it. Ball spits out to Harms. His hand pass at turnover. Daniel 70 out at half forward, wins it back for the Dogs. Hand pass to Rourke Smith. Gives it to Williams on the wing. Williams loads up, sends it deep inside 50. May puts his knee into Tomlinson, his teammate, as he takes the intercept mark. Last line of defence.
Releases to Cossie, Pickett by foot, who takes the mark at the defensive 50. Up to Luke Jackson, who's working, running hard around the Great Southern Stand wing. Now where to for Melbourne? Jackson looks for options inside. Out of contract at season's end. I'm sure the Western Australian clubs will inquire about him. Kicks towards Ben Brown. Up, got hands to it. Couldn't complete the mark. Bailey Smith's in there, trying to knock it away from Clayton Oliver. Oliver over the footy. Cossie Pickett knocks it clear. Crozier picks it up for the Dogs. Hand pass to Keith. Up and under kick. Underneath it, Bowie. Had it spoiled away from him by Hunter. Jack Viney sits underneath it. Good tackle by Dunkley. Melbourne still have the numbers. Smith gathers. Kicks long towards half forward. A 2-on-1. Crozier spoiled it away from Spargo. A chance for Neil Bullen hard against the boundary. Tries to dribble it back to the top of the 50. But Crozier comes up with it. Hand pass to Treloar and the Dogs are away.
He kicks to Waitman, who's outsized, and he's ragdolled by May. May takes the mark. Says it's all okay. He straightens up to Oliver. Back flank. Sends it from one flank to the other. Bursts through the hands of Brayshaw, who's all alone. 20-metre radius from anyone on the ground. Mops it up. Short to Jordan. Worth recapping to a leg complaint for Christian Salem in the opening quarter. He's been tapped out, subbed out of the game. Bedford into the game for Melbourne. And it probably coincides with a real shift in momentum here as Jordan sends his kick in the Jackson direction. It carries over the pack and out of play. Half forward for the Demons. 60 out from their attacking goal at the punt road end. Bulldogs by 16, approaching time on second term.
The Bulldogs superb this quarter. Just the last couple of minutes, their forward line structure's gone again. They kick long to Waitman there, one-on-one with Stephen May. Well, it's going to be May's ball every single time. Norton's just come back out onto the ground, so he'll fix that up. Free kick here to Jack Viney, high contact.
I'm just looking at Petrarca too, Lingy. Just why has he gone right out of the game? It's wondering whether there is a tag there.
Viney took the free kick, hand pass to Brayshaw, right on cue, Mick, here he is. Christian Petrarca backing in, Gorn was coming out on the lead. And Petrarca has it in the left forward pocket. He'll have to kick from right on 50.
Just keep an eye on where Dunkley is, because when this unfolds, he's been right out of the play, Petrarca, and Dunkley has gone right into the play. He's only had 6 possessions, 1 on 6, but he's been so creative in the middle, Dunkley. That's where it's been a big difference this quarter.
An incredible 2021, 39 disposals in the grand final, equalling the record held by Simon Black. How good can Christian Petrarca get from right on 50? Starts it out to the right, it won't be a goal. Ben Brown on the behind line, keeps it alive. Dale knocks it through. And a rush to score. So the Western Bulldogs by 15 points, 20 minutes gone second term after Melbourne led by 15 at quarter time.
It's always good to see some players know the rules, Mick, with the rush. You can do that. You can just blatantly tap it through when you're under enough pressure. Other players panic back there and think, I've got to keep it in, but you can still rush the ball when pressure's there.
Dale from the kick out up to the wing, and Aaron Norton comes floating through to take the mark.
He can't kick it to himself, though, Matt, because May stands in front of him 50 metres away, so that's what's forcing then the Dogs to go wide, and now Norton's got to make his way back in that forward line.
Switches on back to Dale, to Daniel. Back flank, kicks to Waitman again outside. Plenty of hang time in the kick. As Langdon spoils over the back, gives it away to Bedford. Locked up immediately. Umpire says ball up. Logo southern wing. Bulldogs by 15 points. They did trail by 27 in the opening quarter and led by as many as 22 earlier in this term.
6 goals to 1 in this turn the Dogs' way. Petrarca through traffic, dodging and weaving. Kicks up to half forward. Spargo marks on his chest. They stream back inside the 50. Goes short to Ben Brown. He marks right on 50. Has gone, and Cozzy Pickett were racing back to the goal square. A good little short lead from Ben Brown, who turned around.
It was a clever lead, wasn't it, Clinchy? Yeah, just want to call a little hook lead. You just run your defender back towards goal. Give yourself enough room to then just do a quick turnaround, a little hook, and you know that a little 15-metre pass is coming. Just the bread and butter of the really clever forwards.
I'm just watching this dance in the goal square. Gorn and Cordy, I think it is.
He's kicked 2 goals, 2 so far tonight. He's going to go for the pass into the pocket. Not sure who that was intended to. It was well over the head of Bedford if he was the intended target. Maybe not quite on the same page, but no damage done. A throw in the right forward pocket, punt road end for the D's.
It was intriguing because English had to get down to the goal square and he would have been +1. So the Dogs have really changed the structure up.
From the throw in, McRae clears the defensive 50. Bowie first one there. 70 out at half forward against the boundary line. He's pushed out of play. And a throw in. Melbourne's attacking half.
+1 Melbourne or +2 Lingy on the. Yeah. It looks like they've got 2 extra.
And it's strange if the quick kick came out. Cordy's resetting it a little bit. It was going to go to Waitman again, undersized against Smith.
Jackson wins the head out. Sparrow first one there for the Demons. Hand pass to Bedford. Away to Viney inside the centre square. Floats a hand pass to Brayshaw, centre half forward. Kicks inside 50, or in fact kicks wide. Out to half forward. Doesn't quite get inside the arc. Sparrow collects. Spargo rather collects. Kicks to Sparrow, who takes the mark left half forward. And he's about 48 out.
Oh, sorry, Corpse, to jump in. Petrarca was free in the corridor. Arms up, just screaming at him. Quickly fired in there, but he didn't see him. Took too long, and now it's either he makes the distance and kicks a score, or this is one of those ones that just end up on the goal line and punch through easily. Loved him to have gone quicker there.
Feel-good story last year, Tom Sparrow, the sub for much of the year when he did play. ended up starting grand final day. He kicks to the top of the goal square. Gawn's down there. English outmarks him in front. Last line of defence in front of the behind post. Dogs by 15 approaching half-time.
Yeah, they had Gawn covered and English stood 10 yards in front. That's why he marked that ball.
Drives a kick up to the southern wing. Bontempelli in from the side, but Joel Smith juggles the mark. Excellent take from the son of Sean. Comes inboard to Stephen May. Inside the centre square at the MCG. A congested forward 50. He's got Gawn and Ben Brown deep. Sets it in that direction. English tries to get in front. Gawn got hands to it, but a big shove in the process.
Good play.
The umpire spotted that.
Yeah, good setup again by the Dogs. When they've got time, they do set up very well. This is where English can get a great assistance from his key back in Keefe in this case.
English back to Bailey Williams and then to Caleb Daniel out of defence. To Shaki, the hand pass back to Williams. Ran into a dead end. Cosy, Pickett and Tomlinson. They got him holding the footy. Melbourne will take it back at left half forward with the Dogs leading by 15 points.
It wouldn't have felt good for Bailey Williams there, where he realised he was going to take it on a bit and then saw that it was Cosy Pickett who was closing in on him. He thought, I've done the wrong thing here.
And his jumper torn in the process. Pickett hooks his kick out wide to Petrarca, who takes the mark. Petrarca's got it in a similar spot, wide out at left half forward, where he had a shot moments ago. He's a little closer. He'll kick from just inside 50.
His last kick, he almost sliced across the ball, so didn't get any penetration. We know from the grand final, when he's striking them well, each of these kicks are easily within his range, but he's just cutting across the ball a little bit. Let's see if he's learnt from it and he kicks right through it and gets that power behind it.
Melbourne's first Norm Smith medalist, Christian Petrarca. Right foot, superb drop punt, sails through post high. Superb finish out wide from one of the men considered the best in the game. The margin closes to 9, deep into time on in the second term. The Bulldogs 8-3-51, Melbourne 6-6-42. Approaching half-time, Nick Malthouse and Cameron Ling.
When he gets a good clean swing through the ball, he's a beautiful kicker.
Yeah, it does hit beautifully. Lingy, that's closed up again, this game, because Petrarca again got in the game. Viney got in the game. Oliver touched the football. The main base, everybody really probably hasn't a lot to do is Gawn at the moment, and those other players there's still 4 that haven't touched the footy, and that's probably reflective of the first 60% of that quarter, and that's why the Dogs were able to dominate it. Now it's starting to close up again because almost every player's having some role to play.
So Melbourne with the last 2 goals of the game back in the middle. Gawn one down the tap trying to get it to Oliver. Viney tackled by Bailey Smith. Did he have prior opportunity? Umpire waves play on. A chance again for Petrarca. He goes in. Hand pass to Viney who had a fumble. Petrarca gets another chance at it. Liberatore lays the tackle. Hand pass to Oliver. Back to Bowie. And now to Brayshaw. So Melbourne found a way out in tight confinement. Brayshaw looks to the kick to half forward. Beautiful lace-out kick to Alex Neil-Bullen. Just spoiled by Richards at the last moment. Harms gets there to Crummett. Kicks inside 50, a high ball. Fridge comes charging out. Can't take the mark. Bailey Smith tackle. Lost it. Umpire waves play on. Neil-Bullen laid a good tackle. As Petrarca's taken over the boundary line by Richards. Fans are going to sit on the edge of the seat all season in the early rounds especially.
Don't forget, he's still got to have some prior opportunity.
Yeah.
It might have been tightened up a little bit, but there was no prior there.
Bulldogs by 9, deep in Melbourne's forward 50 from the throw-in. They all miss it. Richards at the back for the Bulldogs. Hand pass to Daniels, sweeping hand pass out to Rourke Smith. Back flank, gives it to McRae, just pokes his pass along the line to Bailey Smith. Gone in the other direction. Bailey mops it up. Hand pass back into the path of Norton. Wins the footy. Runs by Harms. Hand pass away to Vandermeer. Links up again with Bailey Smith. 70 out at half forward. Kicks it into the pocket. Hannon the target. McDonald playing back. Thumps it away. Fists it over the boundary line and we'll have a throw in forward pocket for the Dogs.
Yeah, well, the Dogs' structure forward of that was much better. So that's why they were able to contest nearly every ball all the way along down to this contest or down to the forward pocket.
The Bulldogs haven't kicked a goal since the 12-minute mark of the second term after starting red hot. Gawn took it out of the ruck against Norton. Kicks a high ball up the members' wing. Brown's there, couldn't take the mark. Brought it to the front. Jackson. Hand pass out. Petrarca. Dead end tackle. And there's nowhere to go. Good tackle laid by Crozier. Chad Petrarca like a tortoise on his back, couldn't get clear. Might be the only way to stop him. English went early against Gawn, won the tap it straight to Oliver, who was on the move, gets it forward. Bailey Dale read it best for the Dogs. Hand pass to Bailey Smith, hand pass out to McRae, free kick Dogs way, advantage taken. McRae wheels out on the left, kicks in the direction of Norton, one-on-one with May right there, spoils it over the boundary line. 35 metres out from the Western Bulldogs goal at the city end, with the Dogs leading by 9 points.
Yeah, again, wrestling back the control at the stoppages. First in, good contested footy by the Dogs.
6-2 in the quarter, the Bulldogs' way. And the boundary throw-in, Gawn knocks it down for the Demons. Harms puts his head over the footy, takes on Rourke Smith. Umpire circles and says ball up. 40 out from the Bulldogs' goal at the city end. You can hear the applause around the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Shots of Neil Danaher on the big screen from the restart. The Dogs through Dale, hand pass out to Dunkley against the boundary line, half forward, hooks it in the Norton direction, hands to it, no mark, spills in front of the behind post to Hunt, jams it on the boot, Bontempelli underneath it, spills a chest mark, falls to Petrarca, Demons a chance off half back, Harms to Neil Bullen.
Neil Bullen goes a barrel towards Ben Brown. English set himself in front. Brown did well to spoil him late. Got the hand pass to Jordan. Advances the kick towards Fritsch. One-on-one, good work in defence. Keith spoiled it down. A chance still for the Demons. Petrarca tries to knock it clear. Ripped it away from Daniel. Beautifully done. Kicked off the outside of the boot. Bedford racing back. In front position. The mark was spilled in the end. There's a good effort from Crozier lunging towards the boundary, but the footy just spilled out late. And a boundary throw in up against the behind post. Melbourne deep in attack at the punt road end. The Bulldogs by 9 points.
I reckon Petrarca had 2 touches this quarter about 7 minutes ago. He's now had 9. He's been huge.
18 for the game. Chief possession getter on the ground. English wins the tap down to Bontempelli. Tackled, dispossessed by Oliver right in front of Melbourne's goal. Says play on. English got it out to Bailey Smith. Hand pass away to Dunkley. High bomb out of the defensive 50. Gawn tried to fist it, couldn't get anything on it, and in the end it's helped over anyway by McDonald. A throw in front of Melbourne's bench. Bulldogs by 9.
I think, Corbs, we spoke about this on the weekend, that the very best number 1 player in the competition is up for grabs again this year, Mick. I reckon it's been Dustin Martin for the last 5 years, clear cut, and Petrarca and Bontempelli, 2 of the ones vying for it. And Petrarca has been enormous tonight.
From the throw-in, English managed to get it to Dunkley, to McRae, a free kick for a hold, and it's going to be a Dogs free kick. Cam the Truckie's always a regular contributor to us on the SMS. He made the mention he feels like Clayton Oliver gets forgotten in that conversation. If he could kick goals, could he be?
I think Clayton Oliver is right there in amongst the very best in the competition, but if we're talking in the present moment, the number 1 player in the competition, I still feel like it's a 3-way race at the moment, because I'm not counting Dusty out just yet.
0437 774 774 is the SMS line through to the ABC commentary box as Tom Liberatore's kicked towards Aaron Norton just as the siren for half-time sounds. So after Melbourne led by 15 points at quarter time, the Bulldogs kicked 8 goals on the trot in the opening 12 minutes of that second term before Melbourne finished with the last 2. But it's the Dogs who lead by 9 points at half-time, having got out by 22 points at the 12-minute mark of the second term. So 8-3-51 to the Demons, 6-6-42. For the Western Bulldogs, 3 goals to Aaron Norton, individuals to Dale, Waitman, Crozier and Treloar. Meanwhile, for the Demons, their goals have come through Langdon, Ben Brown with 2, Langdon, Viney, Bowie and Petrarca. So the Western Bulldogs by 9 points at half-time. The thoughts of Mick Malthouse, St Cameron Ling with you on ABC Sport.
Just interesting, Mick, watching the Melbourne players as that siren went and they all just settled for a second. Max Gawn, Stephen May, a couple of the midfielders, Angus Brayshaw, all in very, I'm not going to say heated discussions, but very forthright discussions about what went wrong, what happened, what structure they got behind the ball, what's happening through the middle of the ground. That shows an experienced team.
Yeah, it does.
Trying to work it out on the field so they can go into Simon Goodwin and the other coaches and actually have some answers and work on something together. But that's the thing they have to fix up. The middle of the ground, the Dogs destroyed them in the first part of that second quarter, and then the defenders were under the pump and on the back foot, and Norton and a couple of Dogs forwards were having a field day. that got fixed up a little bit as the quarter wore on and Petrarca got his hands on the ball a bit more. So that understanding and that real connection between the mids and the defenders, crucial for the way Melbourne play. And to the Dogs' credit, they were able to exploit that a little bit in that second term.
Well, one of the most remarkable things, I know we do trust the Bulldogs midfield, and we've said before, English is now 25. He's no longer a pup.
Yep.
He's no longer 21, 22. Look, he's had a few years of being a ruckman, come forward, now a ruckman. Remarkably, the clearance work is 23 to 13. And I say remarkably because that was the single reason why there was such a dominance in that first part of the second quarter where the Dogs just took complete control. I mean, complete control. I think it was 5-0 at one stage. I think you called 5-0.
Yep.
Might have even got to 8-1. The contested footy is an interesting one. I've always backed the contested footy in real tough games. You think, well, it's pretty hard to beat a good contested footy, but it's 79 to 69. That 79 is to Melbourne. Now, the other side of that is if you're dominating the ball and you're getting it and you're getting it out, which the Dogs did for a third or let's say half of that second quarter, the contested ball is at the source. You get that, and then you get your runners, and that's why Norton was on the end of he kicked 3 goals, one over his shoulder. He could have kicked 4 for the quarter, or he kicked 3 for the quarter. But their forward line structure held up so well. And then when it didn't, it was so evident. And it fell apart again partway through, I think towards the end of that quarter where Melbourne just had the right structure behind and didn't look like getting scored against. How it falls apart, maybe it's because players have to rest on the bench. There's no doubt, that you take players off and it transpires that players change. And Norton was off the ground.
I think it was Norton off, which leaves perhaps Cordy and Shaki is the two, but
and they're not seen.
A couple of times we called him. The long kick when they needed to bail out a little bit was to Cody Waitman against a May or a Smith, and he was no chance.
No, and I saw the running out to Hannah there at one stage, and I look without. I'm just trying to interpret, and it looked like to me they were saying, look, you've just got to be home because you mightn't be the biggest, but you've got to be able to contest in the air because they were having no contest in that second part of that quarter. Now, they had the Melbourne right on the run. I mean, they finish off another couple of goals and you're trailing at half-time in the first game, unless your fitness is either very superior or very weak, you're leading by 4 goals. Very hard to pull back, believe it or not. Now, 2 goals is nothing. 2 goals is nothing. So Melbourne have got themselves back. I wouldn't like to be picking a winner now because both sides have got the capacity to quick score and the best defensive side will probably win the game from here.
And we mentioned at quarter time the fact that the Dogs had maybe got themselves into the game a little bit with a couple of late goals. The scoreboard wasn't too bad. But probably deep down felt Melbourne destroyed them in that first quarter and thinking,
6 goals.
Bit of a worry here for the Dogs. That was really impressive stuff. To come out and start that second quarter having been badly outplayed against the team that had flogged you in the grand final and to completely flip it round and dominate around the ball, have a better structure, to be able to score so efficiently and kick those 8 goals. That was super impressive. And Melbourne were always going to come back because they're a good team. They're the premiership team.
Well, the two that got back, really, Petrarca got back and Oliver has been around the mark anyway. Viney went out a little bit, Brayshaw started to get back. But it's, again, we keep saying the cream comes to the top. Without the cream, without the Chiefs, the Indians tend to run around a little bit wide and not necessarily win a lot of their football. And this is common with any great sport. Talking about sport, I don't know how we go on cricket-wise, but I'm a panicker. So that's a lot of runs to come back from. How would you like to be on the end of that one, Matty? Look, you give them 500 and they make the runs.
Well, how would you feel if you're Travis Head, who put down Bubba Razan at backward point? He's on 161. He might keep going with Mohammad Rizwan on 10. So Pakistan 4 for 299, needing 207 for victories. So that's on day 5 there, in Australia, still needing 6 wickets. Tim Hodges, you told us the story of Mitch Hannon. So you got a couple of AFL officials trying to help him out here?
It's kind of serious if you're Mitch Hannon or his family. He lost a tooth in that first term. The medical staff of the Bulldogs just walked over to the interchange stewards just on the halftime siren and said, "What are you doing at halftime? Can you help me out?" And they're out there searching. So there's 2 interchange stewards. The match manager has been out there. There's a patch of grass on this members wing that they've earmarked. That's where the head clash happened, where Mitch Hannon lost a tooth, and they're out there trying to find it. So Unfortunately, they'll miss out on pies and sausage rolls, but hopefully they can find Mitch Hannon's tooth, which might make his life easier at the dentist tomorrow.
The needle in a haystack. Thank you, Hodgie. So the Melbourne Demons led by 15 points at quarter time. The Bulldogs leading by 9 points at halftime. Who's going to dominate in the second half? We'll tell you on ABC Sport, but let's get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Glenn Lauder. The head of NATO is in Brussels along with defence ministers to discuss their response to Russia's ongoing attack on Ukraine. The 30-nation military alliance will speak with the Ukrainian defence minister via video link as the country reiterates its need for a no-fly zone. NATO's Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg says the invasion will have long-term effects on NATO's posture.
We will not only address the immediate consequences of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but we will also address the more long-term consequences, the long-term adaptation of our alliance, how to further strengthen our deterrence and defence, and to remove any room for miscalculation or misunderstanding in Moscow about our readiness to protect and defend all allies.
The Prime Minister's announced Commonwealth support for 2 critical minerals projects in Western Australia. Nearly $120 million will be provided for pure battery technologies in Coolgardie to build an integrated refinery hub. Another $49 million will be allocated for Australian vanadium to develop the nation's first vanadium mine with downstream processing. Scott Morrison says the Critical Minerals Accelerator initiative will help tackle climate change.
Vanadium represents an opportunity to develop a differentiated product in the battery industry, in addition to lithium batteries. That's what climate change action looks like, by the way. Exactly what I'm talking about now. That's what it looks like. You're taking that issue seriously, you're doing this.
Meanwhile, the Labor leader Anthony Albanese's been on the unofficial campaign trail in Brisbane. He says Labor has a strong chance of winning the electorates of Dixon and Ryan at the upcoming election. Mr Albanese says the Labor candidates for those areas have gained more recognition since the last election.
We're having a crack. We have a great candidate in Ailey France in Dixon, and Peter Cossar is a very strong candidate in Ryan as well. So we'll be putting forward strong campaigns in both of those seats.
An elite soldier's told a Sydney court the war veteran Ben Robert Smith once declared he was going to choke a man to death with his bare hands. Here's Jamie McKinnell.
The SAS soldier, codenamed Person 7, was called by the publisher of newspapers being sued for defamation by Mr Robert Smith over stories published in 2018. Person 7 recalled a comment the veteran made in the days after Sergeant Blaine Diddams was killed in Afghanistan in 2012. He claimed while he was preparing equipment, Mr Robert Smith told him, "Before this trip's over, I'm going to choke a man to death with my bare hands. I'm going to look him in the eye and watch the life drain out of his eyes." Mr Robert Smith denied making the comment when he gave evidence last year.
Homelessness advocates predict the number of people unable to afford accommodation will keep rising as the federal government's affordable housing scheme ends. The incentives issued to landlords to create lower cost rentals for low and middle income earners at 20% below the market rate. Kate Colvin from the affordable housing campaign group Everybody's Home says states are stepping in because the federal government hasn't acted.
So around the country, there'll be an extra 23,000 social housing properties built by state governments, but the NRAS properties that are being lost just over the next 3 years is 22,600 properties. So it's very disappointing to see.
The Bureau of Statistics has revealed about 1 in 4 Australian households experienced a change in their job situation over the last month because of COVID-19. New ABS data also suggests a sharp rise in the likelihood of Australians taking precautions to counter the spread of the Omicron variant as compared to Delta last year. 98% of Australians reported wearing a face mask, 95% reported regularly washing their hands or using hand sanitizer over the past month to prevent contracting COVID-19. The Queensland Government's offering a $3,000 subsidy to encourage people to make the switch to electric vehicles. It'll apply to new models costing up to $58,000. $45 million has been committed to the initiative over the next 3 years. The Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk, told Parliament there'll also be $10 million to build new charging stations.
A greater take-up of new electric vehicles means more in the used car market, making them even cheaper and within reach of those with less money to spend.
And the biggest mining companies operating in Brazil have issued a statement condemning proposed legislation that would legalise mining in indigenous lands, including the Amazon. The president says with the war in Ukraine, Brazil must exploit new mineral reserves to produce fertilisers that were previously imported from Russia. That's the latest ABC News.
Did you know that ABC Listen has a little sibling?
Hi.
The ABC Kids Listen app with music to move and podcasts to play. ABC Kids Listen stimulates curiosity, fires imaginations, and fosters good listening skills.
Wow! That's a funny noise.
Discover a world of entertainment that will spark creativity in the minds of your little ones and get them up and moving. Download ABC Kids Listen today, free from your app store.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Over the top to Bontempelli. Can the Bulldogs start with more purpose? That's a good kick. Vandermeer dropped the mark. Uncontested. Hand pass to Norton. Swings onto the left boot. Snaps across his body. Bending back. He's got it. And the Bulldogs have got it inside 30 seconds. Right on 50. Gives the hand pass to Bailey-Dale. He can finish. On the run. You know how it ends. And the Western Bulldogs all of a sudden are running hot.
Close to the boundary line. Langdon's happy to see it out.
Oh, he's paid it. I thought he might.
King for deliberate, walking it over the line. It's not the side for the left footer, so he'll go off the non-preferred right. It doesn't matter. Aaron Norton knows where the major opening is. He puts it through and gives the Dogs the lead for the first time in the game.
The kick inside 50. Norton, good little depth touch. Trying to work it at 40. Melbourne race back with the numbers. Norton couldn't soccer it forward. Still a chance at 40. Gets it to Trelaw. Snaps on the right boot and puts it through.
For the boundary throw-in, Bailey Smith onto it. Hooks it from the forward pocket to the other pocket. Hannon flies, can't mark, follows up, pops it through. Make that 8 straight for the Bulldogs. The Doggies lead by 22 in what has been a dramatic shift in this game, a 49-point turnaround.
Dodging and weaving around his full measure, kicks towards Ben Brown. Thought he did enough to claim the mark. The umpire in the middle of the ground has paid it. So Ben Brown, a chance to kick his second and try and bring Melbourne back into this contest from just inside 50. That's a beautiful kick. That's exactly what Demons fans want to see.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Half-time in the season opener from the MCG, and it's the Western Bulldogs leading Melbourne by 9 points. The Dogs kicked 8 goals on the trot from the opening stages of the second quarter to the 12-minute mark. They got out by 22 points before the Demons kicked the last 2 goals of the term. So the Bulldogs by 9 points, 8-3-51 to the Demons, 6-6-42. Aaron Norton has 3 goals and Ben Brown has 2. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass calling the action. Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling are your experts, and Tim Hodges is down on the boundary. So we had a bit of late drama with some late team changes. Jake Lever out, Adam Tomlinson coming in. Toby Bedford was the sub. He's already in the action for Christian Salem, who's been subbed out with a left knee injury. And for the Western Bulldogs, Steph Martin is out. And Jason Johannesson was a late out after the warm-up. So Ryan Gardner and Hayden Crozier coming in. Lockie Hunter kept his spot in the side. He was named as the sub. Jamara Ugle-Hagan is the sub for the Western Bulldogs and hasn't been required as yet. The teams are in for Thursday night footy, the traditional season opener between Richmond and the Blues. The Tigers led out by new co-captains Dylan Grimes and Toby Nankervis. Both of them will take place. Both have had injury concerns, with Grimes with a thumb injury following the community series, and Nankervis has been out with health and safety protocols, but will be just right to come back for the season opener. So the Tigers will be without Nick Vlosten with a hamstring, Kane Lambert with a hip, and Camden McIntosh a calf. And Carlton have also named Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay to feature in the season opener. Michael Boss's first game as Carlton coach. George Hewitt playing his first game, Adam Chira as well. They'll be without Ed Curnow. And the feel-good story in the opening round, Sam Doherty back in the Carlton lineup. When you think of he was battling cancer and must have looked a million miles away playing AFL footy in January, but it says a bit about his heart and determination to get back for round 1.
It certainly does, Clinchy, and we know he's a captain, a really respected, highly respected teammate, ripping bloke, and I'm sure when he was getting back into the training, he was probably thinking, well, if I can just if I can build perhaps maybe to the halfway point of the year and get myself fit again, and maybe I can get rolling again. But obviously his attention to detail, determination, everything about his character has just got himself right to go for this first round. Be a great game tomorrow night. Intriguing game. Blues, so much optimism, positivity, all of that. But the Tigers, they might just go roaring back up the ladder. That last year might have just been an exhausted year, and bang, away they go again.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think you're right. I think as far as you don't know what Richmond are capable of. Outside their top level players now are another year or second year on. I'm talking about Rewalt, Lynch, Cochin, Lambert. Well, Lambert, he may be lucky to play. They've lost Asprey. I know they picked up Tarrant. Whereas Carlton, they're probably, to me, they're Sam Walsh short of beating Richmond tomorrow night.
Yes, I know.
And I know what you think of Walshy. So, I mean, he's a great kid. But getting back to Sam Doherty, I coach Sam Doherty. We're over in the States, and I know he won't mind the story. We're over in the States. We're doing a training camp. We had this phone call, to say that he lost one of his loved ones, and he also had this sort of, I don't know what exactly it was, but it was. He had to go into some sort of radiation, even when he just got back after that. He is full of courage. He's such a team player. He's a delightful bloke, as you said. You couldn't wish anyone more success than a bloke like Sam Doherty, because he's done it all. The hard yards off the field. I just hope it works out for him on the field.
So he'll be there on Thursday night. Sam Walsh ahead of schedule. They thought he might be back by round 5, but it sounds like he's progressing quicker than that. So Chera and Hewitt to make their debuts for the Blues, and Robbie Tarrant and Gibcus is going to make his debut as well for the Tigers. In the A-League tonight, Adelaide United and Western Sydney Warriors. It's 1-0 between the Wanderers and the Reds at half-time. And in the cricket, Pakistan 4 for 310. So this is in the second test, day 5. Pakistan needing 196 runs for victory. Australia needing 6 wickets. And Babar Azam has been dropped twice. Once from Travis Head, once at Silly Point by Marnus Labuschagne. So he's still there on 168. So abc.net.au/sport, of course, to keep you across all the other latest sporting news. And a bit of news from the Hawks. Michael Gleeson on Twitter from the Age newspaper reporting that Ben McAvoy and Luke Bruce will be both out for the Hawks on Sunday against North Melbourne. So does that start to even up the ledger between David Noble and Sam Mitchell in his first game as coach of the Hawks? The players have made their way back out to the field. They're almost in position. Tim Hodges down on the boundary.
Just an update on Christian Salem for Melbourne fans out there, Clinchy. He was hobbling around on that left knee that saw him subbed out of the game at quarter time. He's now on crutches, so he does look in a really bad way. So we'll monitor that, but he will have some pretty big scans, I would think, in the next 24 hours.
And when you think of the 4 guys, Hodgie, missing from their premiership team, no Petty, no Rivers, no Hibberd, no Lever, and then they lose Salem on the run. So that's 5 of their back 6 from grand final day, all from the same area of the ground. Second half action, the Dogs by 9 points. The grand final rematch. Into the second half we go as it's 1 down to McRae. His hand pass over his shoulder to Richards as he gets back to his feet, gets it back. Links up with Bontempelli, kicks it out of the centre square. Joel Smith, great work. Outsizes it, outmarks Hunter at half back, and he straightens up to Brayshaw at centre half back.
You can switch across the half back line. Tom McDonald takes the mark. So he might have been moved into defence. Kicks up towards Bailey Fritsch in the middle of the ground. Hand pass to Brayshaw. Works it back to Tom McDonald. Awkward kick around the southern wing. Ed Richards intercepts it for the Bulldogs. Works the hand pass forward to Williams. And now to the runner, Bailey Smith. He looks inside the 50. Cordy's the target. It's wide of him. And Tomlinson pulls in the one-handed mark hard against the boundary for Melbourne deep in defence.
Well, there's one that got away. Norton was running to an open goal, 20 yards clear of anyone. And it's just that sight. It's just a matter of looking up and just weighing it up a bit better than what he did. So that's a real bad outcome for the Dogs.
Switch play to the opposite back flank is James Jordan. Right half back for the D's. Kicks in the Jackson direction on the wing. Gardner spoils for the Bulldogs. Harms overruns it. Dale collects. Jackson's got him. Drilled into the turf.
Oh, that's
the rule. There's the rule.
Yep, that should have been paid.
because once that one arm he had one arm free, elected to take them on.
Ball up then. Gawn wins the tap down to Vandermeer. Just throws it out. Oliver hands it to Gawn. Gawn a high up and under to half forward. Jackson flying, runs underneath it. Mops up his own work to Harms. Half forward, hand pass to Petrarca. Kicks to Brown. Then Ben Brown marks uncontested right forward pocket.
That's the power of Petrarca. So he was matched up against Jack McRae at that stoppage around on the wing here. As soon as that ball left his area, going forward for Melbourne, he was gone and spreading to the next contest. He left Jack McRae behind by about 15 metres. He was able to join in the play and get this one to Brown.
On the outside of the right boot, that's a superb finish. Ben Brown pops through the first of the second half. He has 3. 2 minutes into the third term, the Dogs 8-3-51. Melbourne within a kick. There's 7-6-48. It's a 3-point ball game. The Doggies lead it. Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling.
Well, I don't know whether the Dogs are like this, but I think it's Bontempelli's limping off the ground. That's not a good sign, particularly with the physio. He'll probably go up the race. There's Dunkley coming on. I'm really surprised Dunkley doesn't go into the middle. Yeah. He had such a massive impact in that second quarter. But they've only got 3 in there, so they've got 4 in there. But Dunkley, to me, was one of the reasons why they got into the game, because a bigger body, stronger body, doesn't overly work the football with his boot, but he's very good with his hands. And now he's playing half forward.
But he can match with Petrarca.
Absolutely, absolutely can.
So Melbourne close the gap to 3 points the Western Bulldogs way. The bounce is going to be recalled.
Marcus Bontempelli, he's been quiet tonight anyway. Had only the 10 disposals and no real impact. And you're right, when he's coming off limping, Timmy Hodges will be all over it for us in a second, but it's a blow for the Dogs.
Keeping an eye on that foot. As Viney gets the clearance from Melbourne, hand pass to Oliver. Gawn's push forward, backing back into the pack at half forward, couldn't come down with the mark. Neil Bullen gathers, swung by Crozier, got the hand pass inside 50. Dogs have the numbers. Richards with a hand pass to Treloar, cleverly to Bailey Smith. They work it out of defence through Dunkley. He kicks up to Vandermeer, who takes the mark at left half back. Around the members' wing. Kicks towards Cody Waitman. Melbourne's fans felt he played for the free kick in the first quarter and they haven't forgotten. Veers around to the right. Sends it in the direction of English. Up early, couldn't take the mark. Oliver crumbs it. Hand pass looking for May, couldn't take it. Dunkley can for the Dogs. Hand pass to Vandermeer. High kick inside the 50. Shacky's gone forward, couldn't take the mark. Spargo trying to feed a hand pass to Tom McDonald, now on all fours trying to knock it clear. Waitman has another go at it, knocks it out to Liberatore, gets it to Bailey Smith, can't break the tackle of Oliver, knocks it out towards Shackey, tries to slap it to Dunkley, his kick is over the head of Treloar. Harms dropped the mark for Melbourne though, and now Neil Bullen's dumped in a tackle by Bailey Smith. So both sides struggling to take control of the footy. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
Marcus Bontempelli, the right boot is off, the right sock is off. He's having his right ankle re-strapped. He's in a fair amount of pain, but they will strap that up and get him back on as quick as they can, guys.
So right ankle concern for Bontempelli. We're going nowhere in a hurry from the ball up, and we'll do it all again. Centre half forward for the Dogs.
Yeah, we just saw the replay then, Hodgie, and it looked like a simple rolling of the ankle in some congestion. Hopefully it's just a restrap and he's fine.
Treloar breaks the tackle, then sends a high ball goalward. He's off target and misses the whole set. It's out on the full. A hurried kick from the stoppage. It's this incredible game of runs, and it's what we saw in the grand final. The first 4 for the Demons tonight, the next 8 for the Dogs, and now Melbourne have kicked the last 3. It's back to a 3-point game. The Dogs lead it. As May goes long down the southern boundary line. Big fly over the back from Richards. Can't pull it down. Spills to Langdon. Melbourne racing away up into the front half. Jackson back to Langdon. Links up by hand to Spargo. He kicks inboard. Finds Neil Bullen up to meet it. Pokes it inside 50. And there's Bailey Fritsch. With plenty of space in front of him. Leads up and marks dead in front. 40 out.
The power running of Melbourne then was impressive. Langdon did so much work on that wing to link up, and then because of the threat of the other Melbourne runners who were running in that wave, it meant the Bulldogs all had to shift over towards the boundary line, which left the corridor completely open for the Demons, and they were smart enough to use it. Terrific play.
Kicked 6, of course, in last year's grand final. Hasn't got one so far tonight. He changes that, and he changes the lead. It's in Melbourne's hands. Once again, the second lead change in the game. 8-6-54. The Bulldogs 8-3-51. And now it's Melbourne with 4 on the bounce. 6.5 minutes into the third term. Demons by 3.
Well, it's a remarkable game. The ebbs and flows of the scoreboard is the classical thing, but it tends to come from a dominance of the structure of the middle and all the stoppages. And
well, the Dogs rely on having to dominate the clearances.
Yes, they do.
Melbourne only need to break even in the clearances, and then they can control the rest of the game. Or the rest of the ground. Sorry.
That's why I'm really bemused. Look, Smith's in the middle, and he was very, very good, very strong at the football. Trelaw's not overly strong at the football; he's more receiving there. McRae's okay, but for the life of me, I can't see why Dunkley's not in there. He just adds that bigger body.
Marcus Bontempelli off the field. Melbourne back in front. Free kick for a hold. It'll go the Dogs' way. Bailey Smith was trying to sock it off the ground, and his jumper tugged by Clayton Oliver. So he'll take the free kick just to the left of the centre circles. It's allowed Melbourne to push numbers back into defence though. Smith looks to go short to Crozier. He takes the mark to the right of the 2 centre circles. Keeps the space in front at half forward. And Tom Liberatore leads up into that. Takes the mark. Kick loop for Trelaw's a shocker. Turns it over. Bedford takes the mark. Playing his first game since 2020. Played a couple of games back then. Hard to crack into this Melbourne side. Kicks into the middle of the ground. Good kick. Petrarca racing forward, takes the mark. Just slipped over, so lost the momentum. Now looks towards Cozzy Pickett. Lost Caleb Daniel, but the kick was just wide. Pickett races after it. Daniel did well. Just nudged him out of it at the crucial time. Gathers for the Dogs. Hand pass to Richards. Kicks up to McRae at left half back.
Last 4 for the Demons. They lead by 3 points. McRae's kick to the wing, not a good one. Hunter trying to mop it up. Shakes the Sparrow tackle. Hand pass to Liberatore. He kicks out wide and Rourke Smith marks in front of the Demons bench. Hand pass to half forward to McRae. Back to Rourke Smith. 60 out. Shakes a would-be tackle from Petrarca. Pokes the pass to English. And the big Bulldogs ruck takes the mark. Left half forward. 40 out. 5 in from the boundary line.
Well, it's very similar pattern of play that outside of the speed of Langdon on the other side of the ground for Melbourne when they scored the goal through Brown. This is holding the ball. Great job done by Daniel for a start off on Pickett. That was the starting point of it. Didn't lose possession from there on in.
And then Jack McRae's overlap run, wasn't it, to link up?
Yeah.
Big Tim English, 19 goals, 15 last year. His conversion rate starts it at the left-hand goal post, leaves it out there. Misses near side. A little narrow on the kick. 8-4 to 8-6. Demons by 2. 9 played in the third.
How much do you think they'll be able to play Tim English forward if Steph Martin might be back?
Well, Martin's got to prove that he's up to it again. He's another year older.
Melbourne advance it up to the southern wing where Gawn has it, a free kick. And it was smart from Sparrow not to take the advantage. And it's going to be Bedford's free kick. Playing his third game of AFL footy, gets the hand pass away to Oliver. The sub into the action for Salem. Kicks up towards half forward. Harms was illegally taken out of the marking contest. And he'll take the free kick at left half forward. Looks inside the 50. Richards just fills the hole nicely and takes the mark in front of the leading Bailey Fritsch. Looks to switch play for the Western Bulldogs. Up to left half back. The kick is wide. And it misses Cody Waitman. And just slid off the MCG turf and across the boundary line for a throw-in. So fatigue might play a bit of a part in this second half when you think of the pace in which the game has been played. The Demons leading by 2 points.
Richards has done all right, Lingy. He's done very, very well, in fact.
He's a good ball user normally, isn't he, Mick?
Yes, he is. But he's also quick.
English wins the tap down to McRae. Hooks a kick back over his shoulder out of the defensive arc. A collision in the air between Hunter and Neil Bullen. Ball back in dispute. Centre half forward for the Demons. They all overrun it. Trelaw clean. Hand pass away to Hunter. Goes back by hand to Dunkley. And he retreats to McRae. Runs to the defensive side of the wing. Kicks to Norton one-on-one with May. May reaching over the back. Holding on. Free kick Norton. Between wing and half forward takes it for the Bulldogs. Stabs his kick, wanting Hannon. Good spoil, Joel Smith. Sits okay for Trelaw. Jams it on the boot to the goal square. Shackney one-on-one with Hunt. Hunt beats him hands down and tumbles a kick out towards half-back.
Just as Marcus Bontempelli came on from the bench, he just got there lunging forward. And he takes the mark between wing and half forward. Still a good 2 kicks out from goal.
Smart play. Really smart play. Different than the first quarter where that would have gone inside 50. Now they're just working the ball around, making Melbourne's backline move.
In the middle of the ground to Richards and now to Daniel. He turns it over though, straight down the centre of the ground inside the 50. And Bowie takes the intercepting mark for Melbourne. 30 metres out from his defensive goal at the punt road end.
Just got to rewind a little bit. Josh Shackey, if he's going to take that next leap, it's going to be rare for him to get a mismatch like that. He had Langdon deep.
Yeah.
Just got to mark those.
Yeah.
You have
his body.
You're not on Stephen May there or Smith and a big strong body. Just mark those, and that's how he takes that next leap with his footy.
Tomlinson received it. Kicks long up the southern wing. No mark claim. The Bulldogs regather it through Daniel. Hand pass to Dale. Little worm burner into Liberatore. Picks it up cleanly. Got the hand pass to Williams. Kicks inside the 50. Cordy the target. Couldn't take it. Dunkley crumbs it beautifully. Dribbles it towards the goal mouth and misses to the right-hand side. Just couldn't quite curl it correctly. Melbourne's lead is a point at the 12-minute mark of the third term.
We wanted a good game if you looked at the scoreboard.
Yeah. May strolls out from the kick out and then turns it over. 2 bounces and thumps it straight into Bontempelli's chest, who marks on the members' wing. Kicks the Bulldogs down to half forward.
Still looks really proppy to me, Bontempelli. In fact, he's come off the ground. He just didn't look like he could put weight on that leg.
Hunter taking the mark and now taking on Jordan on the mark. He sends it to the top of the goal square. They come in from all directions. Spills front and centre. Liberatore can't take it cleanly. Viney looking for a free kick. Now sits on top of the footy and the umpire, a little sympathetic to his plight, he's going to ball it up top of the goal square.
We got anything down there, Timmy, with Bontempelli?
Yeah, Bontempelli straight down to the rooms, Mick.
Norton tried to take it into the ruck. Demons fans thought he had prior opportunities. Smith looking to try and centre the ball up. Rourke Smith almost made it work. Got the hand pass to Daniel. Now to Treloar on 50 to Richards. All by hand. Crozier gone. Max Gorn tackled him. And the Demons take it back. Continue with the advantage. Neil Bullen to Smith. He turns it over. Joel Smith just blazing the members' wing. And Gardner takes the mark. Uncontested for the Western Bulldogs.
Now Melbourne's forward line has really collapsed forward or collapsed back.
To Bailey Smith at half forward inside the 50. Tom McDonald with a big fist. Brought it down to the front. 40 metres out from the Bulldogs' goal. Bedford under pressure. Hand pass to Oliver. To Viney and now to Bowie. They see their way out of defence. Good kick finds Harms. He marks at half back.
The Demons on the counter-attack. Harms an ugly kick out wide. Langdon will get there just inside the southern boundary line. Hand pass to Oliver. And Oliver nothing up ahead as you touched on, Mick. He'll have to retreat back with a short drop punt to Langdon.
And this is what happens when you only have 2 practice matches leading in.
Tiredness gets him.
Yeah, that fatigue of the first genuine high-intensity game of football. The mistakes start coming. You can't quite get over the ground to create that extra option for your teammate. And it might be sloppy and an arm wrestle from here on, but still a huge 4 points on the line.
Langdon buys some time and then sends it down the wing. Gorn spoils it to the boundary line. Dogs keep it alive. Daniel to Williams. Hooks the kick. Down the wing. Oliver spills it. Has time to mop up. Looks for Gorn again. And the premiership skipper takes the mark between wing and half forward. Puts the D's inside the forward 50. It'll sit for Shackey. He can't take the mark. It'll fall in the lap of Fritsch. And Fritsch makes him pay. He's kicked 2 in a row, and the Demons have the last 5. This incredible game of runs continues. Melbourne the first 4, the Dogs the next 8, Melbourne the last 5. 15 played in the third term, Demons by 7 points, 9-6-60. Western Bulldogs 8-5-53. 15 played in the third term. Tim Hodges with the latest on Marcus Bontempelli.
So Marcus Bontempelli came off with the right ankle, guys. He had his ankle re-strapped. He was really uncomfortable. I thought they were strapping it too tightly. Jamara Ugle-Hagan is the medical sub. He's just done a small warm-up. He's threatening to take this T-shirt off, so I'm just wondering if Bontempelli's days in this game might be numbered. So he's talking to the doctor. I think they're just waiting for news coming back from the Bulldogs' rooms where Bontempelli is to see what happens next, but it's not looking good for the Dog skipper.
Thanks, Hodgie. So Melbourne by 7 points. Bailey Fritsch with a couple of goals in this third quarter. And Petrarca gets the clearance, kicks inside 50. Jackson at full stretch. Did enough to claim the mark. They're going to be a nightmare for defenders. Ben Brown and Jackson both got great aerial jumps and the ability with the arms fully stretched. They're going to be hard to defend.
And they're able to flip things around a little bit with Jake Lever going out before the game. Tom McDonald, go back to where he started his career as a defender. We know that he's a threat when he's forward. They've got plenty of options. It'll be hard to match up on this Melbourne team.
So Luke Jackson has announced himself as a future star of the competition. His ability to play ruck and forward from right on 50. That's a good kick and a great finish. He turns to the Melbourne fans with the finger in the air. Beautiful strike. And the Demons have kicked 6 on the trot and lead by 13 points. 10-6-66 to the Bulldogs. 8-5-53. 17 minutes gone, third term on Grandstand AFL.
And the really hard thing for Luke Beveridge is trying to counteract that size. When Melbourne are winning the footy, Ryan Gardner then outmarked. He wanted to turn to Josh Shackey as a defender back there, but Shackey spilt that mark before, and Bailey Fritsch kicks the goal. Zane Cordy is trying to battle as a forward and just at least create a contest. Not really doing much at all. Hasn't touched the ball this quarter.
No.
Luke Beveridge would be having the conversations with his coaches. What else can we do with our big players?
Yeah, and the only way to control big players is the best defence is to have the footy.
Don't let the opposition get the ball.
Well, the best defence, clearly, you've got to get it. And at the moment, they're not. They're sharing the middle, and that's just not enough against the Melbourne side.
6-6-6 warning against the Bulldogs, but they get it out of the centre square as Dunkley tumbles a kick to centre half forward. Waitman out to meet it, can't take it cleanly. Brayshaw had it, lost it. Still alive, 40 out from the Dogs' goal. Tomlinson mops it up. Hand pass to Harms, to McDonald, who sells the dummy. Kicks down the wing. The two number 9s. Crozier brings it down. McRae for the Bulldogs. Spears a kick. Can't get it to Liberatore. And Bowie, hand pass to Petrarca. Tance for the D's on the overlap.
Quick 1-2 with Sparrow back to Petrarca. Kicks a high ball towards Ben Brown. Was shoved as he got his kick away. And allowed Alex Keith to get there and spoil it over the boundary line.
The biggest difference is Melbourne can get the ball inside the front 50 so much quicker. So much quicker, and to legitimate targets outside of Norton, you really don't know who the Dogs are going to go to.
They've got Norton, Cordy, and also Shackey in attack. The Dogs trying to arrest that trend. English was shoved out of it in the ruck contest. It was a late whistle against Gawn.
That's the trouble though, Clinchy. Zane Cordy's been non-existent, trying his hardest. Josh Shackey can't mark the ball against Ed Langdon. It's pretty much Norton or nothing.
English's long kick up the members wing. Cordy behind. Tom McDonald punches it down for Melbourne. Hunter gathers for the Bulldogs. Gets the hand pass to McRae and now to Bailey Smith. Hard against the boundary. Not a great kick for Cordy. He's able to spoil it away from Tom McDonald. And gets it across the boundary line for a throw in at left half forward for the Dogs. Yeah, Melbourne by 13 points, Mick.
Sorry, no, it's smart play by Cordy. He couldn't mark it, so bring the ball to ground. Have another stoppage. At least it's on the half forward flank.
Demons have kicked the last 6 in the game after being 22 points down in the second quarter from the boundary throw-in. Brayshaw somehow got it out as he was being tackled. Half back for the Demons. Bowie hooks a kick down the wing. Gawn at the drop of the footy, flying over the top, can't take it. Spills down to McRae, who's had it on a string. He kicks it with his left boot, out to half forward. Hands on it in the air from Hunt, and it goes over the boundary line, so a throw in here half forward for the Bulldogs.
This is where you've got to be tempted. I'm not saying Luke Beveridge would do this, but to manufacture a sub board. And Ugelhagen comes on, and who knows, might not get a kick, or he might just, with the talent that he's got, he might find you a couple of goals.
Thrown back in. English tried to swat it to the back of the pack. Cossie Pickett was onto it quickly. It was dispossessed. Free kick for high tackle, and James Harms is going to take it at half-back for the Demons.
Well, Bontempelli can't get back on.
No,
you've got
it could happen, but I need to add that that's not what the medical sub is supposed to be there for.
No,
as well.
it's not. So it really should only be there for concussion.
Bontempelli still down in the rooms as Harms kicks towards Gawn at half forward. Couldn't take the mark. Spoiled away from him. Trelaw's onto it. Kicks up towards Vandermeer, who juggles the mark in front of the Western Bulldogs bench.
And Melbourne are getting players back quicker than the Dogs are getting back. So is it a fitness thing? Is it a want thing?
Call to play on, so he just lobs his kick towards Norton. Coming in from the side, was shepherded out of it. And Aaron Norton, a little bit fortunate, but it was probably there. He'll take it from right on 50, maybe not, Mick.
Oh, no, I've got to see that again.
I thought that was good defensive craft.
Yeah, just blocking. Yeah, slight block.
Kick 3 in the second quarter. Aaron Norton.
I'm sure Tomlinson was still allowed to contest the football on the line of the ball, which he was on the line of the ball. I mean, his intent was clear.
This will be a bit of the Bulldogs' fear without Josh Bruce. It might be Norton or bust. Tried to be cute with a kick to Liberatore. He set it up just a tad too high.
I reckon everyone in the ground saw what he was going to do there, except Tom Liberatore.
Yeah, read that as easy as they come. Takes the intercepting mark and chips it 30 metres back to Stephen May.
The All-Australian Stephen May, 1 of 5 from the Demons, sends it out to Langdon, and nice work. Rourke Smith got across and whacked it out of play, so a throw in half forward for the Bulldogs.
Structurally now both sides are around about even as far as behind in front of the ball. It's just that Melbourne are moving the ball much more with more, I suppose, speed is the key to it.
Melbourne kicked the first 4, the Bulldogs the next 8, and now Melbourne the last 6. In a game of some wild momentum swings from the stoppage, McRae sends it inside, Dale in fact sends it inside the forward 50, and Tom McDonald back in defence where he played the first part of his career takes an intercept mark and will send the Demons back out again to Jackson, who leaps up and takes a towering contested mark on the wing.
This is game number 31 for Luke Jackson. He's about 100 games off his absolute peak, and he still looks incredible when he moves.
Beats the hand pass around the back to Tomlinson. The Bulldogs should have taken the mark. It was dropped in the end. They make it work through Liberatore. His kick will be coming back, though, as Jack Viney takes the mark on the AFL logo on the Great Southern Stand side. So Melbourne by 13 points. They'll kick 6 unanswered goals from late in the second quarter to deep in the third. The kick towards Max Gawn, who got underneath it and in the end threw his hands up in the air as it cleared over his head and across the boundary line for a throw-in. 50 metres out from Melbourne's goal at the city end.
If you're a Dogs fan, you'd be having flashbacks, I'm sure. It's just similar trimmings to last year's grand final, from 27 down to 22 up. And now 13 down, having conceded the last 6 in the game. From the boundary throw-in, McRae got it out to Rourke Smith, kicks down the wing. Norton leaping high, takes the mark. There was a push before that. It's a free kick for the Demons. And McDonald's going to take it. Tom McDonald sends it to Gawn in a 1-on-3, and he stands underneath it and takes the mark.
Outside of Norton, this is where Melbourne also dominated in the air.
Gawn pokes it inside the forward 50 over the head of Jackson, slips through to Alex Keefe. And Keefe can send a high bomb back out of a defensive arc. Norton controlling the sky, flies in the air, can't complete the mark. Gawn does it on ground level. Got it out to Jordan, hand pass to Tomlinson, who kicks it high up and under inside the centre square.
Dale tried to punch it clear. Spargo cute, got it to Sparrow on the run, off balance, and misses everything, out of bounds on the full. Melbourne by 13. Tim Hodges on the boundary.
It's chaos down here on the Dogs bench, Clinchy. Tim English has had a left knee looked at. Jamara Ugle-Hagan was warming up around the sidelines as the medical sub, and that's when Marcus Bontempelli came back from the rooms and started warming up with him. So the Bont is okay. That right ankle has been restrapped, and he's going to give it a second go to try and get out on the ground before three-quarter time.
Do you reckon he may have had a jab in that? That's probably gone while he's gone downstairs. It's a lateral ligament.
There he goes now, guys. So just keep an eye on him, Mick.
So Marcus Bontempelli back onto the field. The Bulldogs have it inside their defensive 50 as Daniel kicks it across half back to Gardner. He runs his full measure as Ben Brown offers chase. Kicks up towards Dunkley and Langdon. Langdon behind, spoil it down, Gather, did that really well. The wingman got it to the advantage of Cozzy Pickett, who quick as a flash advances it forward. The mark taken by Sparrow, can work it further forward still to Petrarca. Now deep inside 50, Ben Brown the target, takes the mark. Gardner started in front, Brown was able to work his way past him, and at that stage the Bulldogs defender knew he was in trouble. Brown wastes no time, steps out, opens up the angle, snaps on goal and misses to the left. So I've got that as 3-3 for Ben Brown, with Melbourne leading by 14 points.
I know this sounds negative, but Gardner and Cordy at least tries to spoil, but once you've got Shaki and Gardner on the same side in the air trying to spoil the football.
Daniel's kick-out's coming back. Oliver for the Demons, hands it to Spargo, pokes it inside, and Fritsch, enter stage right, comes flying through to take the mark in front of a couple of his teammates. And Bailey Fritsch, who's a sharp shooter, will have a set shot 35 out straight in front.
And a couple of little conversations going on about 15 metres behind where Fritsch took that mark. Bailey Williams, Bailey Dale, both sitting back trying to be what you call the plus one or support player, intercept player, trying to read the kick. But it was a clever enough pass, lowered the eyes and hit up Bailey Fritsch, took them out of the plate.
They already have 6 in a row, the Demons. That's where the run will sit for now. He tugs that out to the left. A rare miss from the set shot for Bailey Fritsch. 10-8 to 8-5. 26 played in the third. Melbourne by 15 points, which is what they led by at quarter time.
Dale's going to roll the now straight down the middle, looking for Treloar. Couldn't take the mark. Now Melbourne come back up with it through Viney. Got it away to Hunt, now to Brayshaw. Hand pass to Petrarca. Out to the Great Southern stand wing where Hunt has it. He looks to send Melbourne inside the 50. Fritsch used his body. Almost got rid of Dale. Couldn't take the mark. Bailey Williams for the Bulldogs comes up with it. Hand pass to English. Too slick for Bailey Smith. Regathered it now. The hand pass to Treloar. His kick looking for Vandermeer. Well, should have been taken by Brayshaw, but he dropped it at the last moment. Vandermeer regathers. Got it to Treloar. Kicks end over end to Bontempelli in the middle of the ground for the Bulldogs. On the AFL logo on the southern stand. Hand pass to Vandermeer. Looks to get a hand pass forward as he was tackled, but turns it over. Langdon for Melbourne, back to Brayshaw, back to Langdon, away he goes.
We know he's a runner. He kicks this time though to Brown and a 1-on-3. Brown cleared out his opponent, gives away the free.
Oh, Petrarca was off to a ripper goal then, but no, you're right. Good call, Cobbs. It was a push.
Yeah. Absolute push.
Hands in the back of English and the free kick given away. What a game of footy we've seen tonight in the grand final rematch. Melbourne with the first 4 in the game to lead by 27 points. The Dogs then rattled off the next 8 unanswered to lead by 22 themselves, a 49-point swing in the game. And now Melbourne, either side of half-time, have kicked the last 6. They lead by 15 at three-quarter time, 10-8-68. The Western Bulldogs 8-5-53. Three-quarter time in the grand final rematch. The goal kickers for Melbourne, 3 for Den Brown, 2 for Bailey Fritsch, both in that third quarter. 1 each to Petrarca, Jackson, Viney, Langdon and Bowie, his first in AFL footy. While for the Western Bulldogs, Aaron Norton's had 3. And then 1 each to Treloar, Crozier, Waitman, Hannon and Dale.
So the Bulldogs held goalless in that third term. Meanwhile, in Karachi, day 5, Pakistan 4 for 320 at tea, so still needing 186 runs for victory. Australia still chasing 6 wickets, so Babar Azan has been dropped a couple of times in that middle session. He's on 168 and Mohammad Rizwan on 24. Great to have your company wherever you're listening around the country on Grandstand AFL, on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
ABC, your trusted source of accurate and timely emergency information.
We've had the ABC on basically all afternoon listening.
There's so much going on. Getting news is a priority.
Well, I'm a fan of the ABC.
It must be love, love, love.
I listen to the ABC every day. I'm extremely grateful.
ABC Radio, reliable source for information.
On radio, on the ABC Listen app and the ABC Emergency website.
It must be love, love, love.
ABC, stay connected.
The 2022 AFL Premiership season.
Grandstand AFL.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Half forward, hand pass to Petrarca, kicks to Brown. And Ben Brown marks uncontested right forward pocket on the outside of the right boot. That's a superb finish. Ben Brown pops through the first to the second half. Finds Neil Bullen up to meet it. Pokes it inside 50 and there's Bailey Fritsch. With plenty of space in front of him, leads up and marks dead in front, 40 out. Hit 6, of course, in last year's grand final. Hasn't got one so far tonight. He changes that, and he changes the lead. It's in Melbourne's hands. Puts the D's inside the forward 50. It'll sit for Shaki. He can't take the mark. It'll fall in the lap of Fritsch, and Fritsch makes him pay. And the Demons have the last 5. This incredible game of runs continues.
And Petrarca gets the clearance, kicks inside 50. Jackson at full stretch. Did enough to claim the mark from right on 50. That's a good kick. And a great finish. Beautiful strike.
This is the 2022 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Three-quarter time at the MCG in the season opener. The Demons with 4 goals to none in that third term. After they trailed by 9 points at halftime, they lead by 15 at three-quarter time. 10-8-68 to the Bulldogs, 8-5-53. Matt Clinch and Corbin Middlemass call the action. Mick Moldhouse and Cameron Ling are your experts.
Well, the Bulldogs in that quarter, Mick, everything they did well in the second quarter. They were outstanding at the contest. They were brilliant at the clearances, and they got their forward line functioning to at least a point where they could compete and do everything. And Aaron Norton obviously was exceptional. That third quarter, even though Melbourne didn't go crazy, I suppose they still ended up kicking 4 goals for the quarter with a couple of other missed chances. But everything the Dogs did in that quarter was completely opposite to what they'd done in the second quarter.
Yeah.
They weren't great around the contest. I think Christian Petrarca got going a little bit with a couple of clearances early. So did Oliver. They didn't have Josh Dunkley around the middle of the ball, around the middle.
Why Lee?
I don't know, because Bailey Smith has been excellent and Jack McRae has been excellent. So they started in the middle of the ground. But then Adam Treloar as well. I don't know if it was Luke Beveridge trying to get Treloar into the game and get him going a bit, but when the game swung again in that third term, it was the big bodies, Petrarca and Oliver, doing their thing.
Yeah.
So I would have had Dunkley in there. And then that forward line for the Bulldogs, it was just non-existent. If it's not Norton at the moment, it's nothing for the Western Bulldogs.
Because Waitman's trying to be a marking player. He's not.
Yep.
Just stay on the ground. And the other lads just have let him down, really. Norton's come up here on this wing and taken 2 or 3. I mean, Betty Cumberbatch could probably do better on the back line than some of these players like Shaki, these sort of stuff. You know, Betty Cumberbatch, she sits up in the second tier, row J4, and she's 3 weeks off getting a certificate from the Queen for her 100th birthday.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's how bad Shaki and these players are playing on the back line.
I thought Betty might have been one of the COVID top-up players that we didn't know.
Well, I tell you what, she's probably put a line up for it. But, you know, that's where we're sitting at the moment with the Dogs' key backs. Can't defend the ball in the air. They're only lucky because that first quarter that Melbourne didn't probably kick straight, had a blowout in the second quarter, and then even this third quarter, 14-14 inside 50s, no goals to 4 goals. You know, a big difference when you kick 4 goals out of 14 and the opposition kick none out of 14. So it just shows you've got to be more diverse in having one player like Norton, who kicked 3 in the second quarter.
And to highlight what it was saying about the ineffectiveness of that Bulldogs forward line. So Melbourne are winning the hit-outs 30-12.
Yep.
Max Gawn, not surprising. The Western Bulldogs are winning the clearances 32-18, so pretty much completely flipping it.
Yeah.
So the midfielders are doing their bit. Now, Petrarca and Oliver are having an influence in there, but the Western Bulldogs midfielders are actually reading it fairly well and going, okay. The trouble is when they get into that forward line, not only is it not being marked unless it is Norton, it's coming back out at a million miles an hour, and then Langdon and these types of players are catching them on the outside. And you mentioned Melbourne are just bang, 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 and it's inside their forward 50.
Can I just say that it looks like Dunkley's in the middle. I reckon they got their best players outside of Liberatore, Smith, Bontempelli and Dunkley. Now's their chance.
So Marcus Bontempelli starting this final term in the middle. Bounce to get things underway. Gawn took it out of the middle. Hand pass to Oliver, a throw. And it's going to be a Western Bulldogs free kick. Bailey Smith to take it. Wants to feed the hand pass to Richards. Try to get it inside 50 quickly. Sets a high ball into the path of Norton. 2 to compete against. Front and centre's back Gawn. Gets the hand pass away to Hunt. And now to a little fumble from Brayshaw, but has enough time to gather. Feeds it wide to Jordan. Kicks towards Jackson on the members' wing. He takes the mark in front of Bailey Williams.
That's it. That was in 50. Wow.
So I assume that's from Bailey Williams not standing. He was on the move. And it's a big penalty to pay.
Yeah, he was trying to back away from the mark. And I think the umpire must have called stand. And it is a big penalty. About to say, Clinchy, it spent a fraction of a second inside the Bulldogs forward 50 again, but it came straight back out.
Yeah, and everywhere you look, Gawn resurrected it, Jackson marks it, and he's had a shot on goal. But if he kicks it, he's kicking to Brown or to Fitch. So they've got players everywhere that can mark in the air.
Kicked multiples on 4 occasions last year, Luke Jackson. This will be a big blow for the Demons. Inside 50, leans back on it, hits the post. Into the left post, and the Demons strike in the opening 90 seconds, but just a point, courtesy of that 50-metre penalty, a 16-point lead.
Just keeping the door open for the Dogs, though. They're not quite finishing their work, the Demons. They had a few more chances in that third term as well.
Dale to Treloar on the wing, gives it back to Dale in front of the interchange, kicks to half forward. Big fist over the back from Joel Smith, finds the safety of the boundary line. And a throw in 60 out from the Dogs' goal at the City end in his final term.
Shackie's playing deep. It'd almost be wise to bring him up to 50-metre line and just leave a bit of space there and contest the ball around that 50-metre line because they've got no one there. All their height, if you got it, it's right back.
Melbourne by 16, 2 minutes into the final term from the throw-in. Still no clean possession. Treloar whacks it away to Jordan. He's turned over in the tackle. And a ball up on the 50-metre arc, right half forward for the Dogs.
Structurally, it looks better. Both sides look really well structured at the moment.
English wins down the tap. Oliver was able to shark it for Melbourne. Hand pass to Viney, spinning out of traffic. Kicked it quickly up the wing, and Bailey Dale takes the intercepting mark for the Bulldogs. Wants to go short for Dunkley. Just got it past a lunging forward Christian Petrarca. He does do as he's told and stand. As Dunkley's 2 kicks out from goal at right half forward. Just puts it into the path of Norton, who flies front and centre. Bontempelli! Lazarus snaps on his left and puts it through. What life does that spark into the Dogs as Melbourne's lead is cut back to 10 points as the Bulldogs kick the opening goal of the final term. The Demons 10-9-69 to the Dogs 9-5-59.
Lingy, a bit more patience. And I just call it then structurally everything looked good. And that's why that mark was taken, because structurally the Dogs had a good setup from that bit of play that went into their forward line. Instead of being all at the football like, snouts in a trough, they were able to spread, and then Dunkley put the ball in a position where it couldn't be dominated by the Melbourne defence. And Bontempelli, just so reliable, ground level as well.
It's the type of kick inside forward 50 as well, Mick. It's still a long kick, but it's a flatter kick.
Yes, yep, hard to mark.
Which means the Melbourne defenders can't all just confidently come off and help each other in the air.
Melbourne by 10. English back in the middle wins the hit out down to Viney, who's locked up straight away by Bailey Smith.
And he's doing a lot better this game, English, than he has against Gawn in the past.
Ball up again in the middle. Gawn wins it down this time, but Treloar soccers it to centre half forward. Tomlinson, though, there for the Demons. Hand pass to Brayshaw, who fumbles out to the wing, mops it up. Hand pass over his shoulder, reaches Hannon. Great tackle, Neil Bullen had him front on, coming at pace. Says ball up.
Good effort by Bontempelli to get back with that ankle the way it is. Very good.
Demons by 10, 4 minutes into the final term.
Umpire tosses it up. Gawn and English. Tap came down to Dunkley. Off a step, kicks a high ball. Oliver underneath it. Should be able to take the mark and does. Defensive side of the members' wing. Quickly plays on. Sends it long towards Jackson. 1-on-1 with Gardner through both hands. Cosy Pickett knocks it on towards Ben Brown. Keith used his body well. Seemed to be taken high. Closest umpire didn't call it, but the umpire in the middle of the ground did. Bailey Fritsch with the tackle just over the shoulder. And Alex Keith will take it in the right back pocket. With the Demons leading by 10 points.
Had shin soreness in the pre-season. Missed one of the Pracky games, and of course had that hamstring injury in last year's final series where he missed the prelim in Adelaide. Came back in at the expense of Ryan Gardner for the grand final. Looks for English on the wing over his head. Hannon on the hop. Hand pass to Rourke Smith. Kicks to Norton, a one-on-one. Great work, Stephen May, who's lost so many of his mates in the back half today for Melbourne through injury and unavailability. And he knocks it away from Norton and out of play, just forward of the wing for the Dogs.
Yeah, poor choice of kicks that. Too short, and player under the pump. Should have been deeper inside the front 50.
From the throw-in, Bailey Smith spun around. He was taken high by James Harms. Free kick for Smith on the wing. Melbourne by 10 points, 5.5 played final quarter.
After to push back behind his mark, this allows Melbourne to get numbers back. Smith drives a kick inside 50. Norton the target. Got it! Stephen May was in chase, was hoping Tomlinson might have tried to come across from the side, and Norton, charging out with purpose, was able to clunk the mark.
That was great play by English. Didn't touch it. Stood 25 to 30 metres away from the kicker. Max Gawn was uncertain because it was his man. Do I drop back or do I stay on English? Because English was going to get used. So that kick kept Gawn away from Norton's mark.
Norton has 3 goals so far tonight. Can he add a 4th here? Puts it out to the left, brings it back to the right, and the Bulldogs are right back in this. The opening 2 goals of the final term, and Melbourne's lead is cut back to 4. They won't go away. The Demons 10-9-69 to the Bulldogs 10-5-65. 6 minutes gone. Final term on Grandstand AFL.
English has done well, but they've got Dunkley back in the middle where the crunch stuff is.
A couple of first possessions in this quarter already, hasn't it? In and under. And Nick, we've been saying it's Aaron Norton or nothing for the Bulldogs. So why not every single time? Just kick it there.
Yeah.
Because don't try and find others. Don't try and unless it's obvious and you just nail it. Kick it to Norton. At least you know it comes to ground when he's flying. And then you get ones like that where he'll wrap it up and he's playing a good game.
We haven't had an immediate answer to any goal in the game, so the Dogs now with the last 2. It's their turn to score. The bounce favoured Jackson. He won the tap. McRae, though, off the deck. Hands it to Bailey Smith. Hand pass out to Dunkley. They're going forward again. Kicks to centre half forward. Shackey out to meet it. Whacked away from him. Viney has a fumble. Viney on his knees has a second go. Hands it to Bowie. Kicks hurriedly to the outer wing. Bedford drops the mark he should have taken. Follows up. Wins possession. Trying to wrong foot Bailey Dale. Still at half back. Bedford kicks down the boundary line. They all turn their back on it. And off Sparrow. It ends up out of play. Southern wing, a boundary throw in right on halfway. The Demons by 4 points. 8 played in the final term.
Yeah, and Dunkley's had the 4 possessions, 3 kicks. Dale on the halfback flanks at their 3. They're the most possession getters of the ground so far, and it's no coincidence. When Dunkley's near the football, you get a great contest.
Hunter gets it for the Bulldogs. Kicks around the Great Southern stand side. Liberatore flew, couldn't take the mark. Brayshaw for Melbourne. Gets the hand pass forward to Oliver. Inside the 50. Fridge the target. Excellent mark. Crashed the pack. Had Keith one-on-one and was able to claim an impressive mark. And Bailey Fritsch directly in front will kick from just outside 50.
Terrific mark. Did the right thing. Got back off the mark really quickly, looking for a Brown or a midfielder spitting forward. As soon as they weren't on, just go back, compose yourself, and back yourself in.
Kicked 2 goals in the third quarter. Bailey Fritsch, that's not his best kick. He shanked that out to the left, and it'll allow the Bulldogs to open the door. Crozier takes the intercepting mark. 20 metres clear. He's off and running. Kicks up to the wing. Norton the target. Couldn't take the mark. Sparrow trying to run onto it. Good work by Cody Waitman trying to put his body in the middle. Now Shackey's over it. Harms lays the tackle. Locks the footy up. And the umpire will throw it up. That's left half forward for the Demons.
Where as a midfielder, you just give a little bit of gentle feedback to your forward and just say, seriously, what? Can't just pop it through for any score? Just give us a rest. Straight away, the Melbourne mids are on the back foot again. They're chasing.
From the ball up, Viney first possession, hand pass away to Harms. He's rolled over in the tackle from Treloar. And the ball up just in front of the interchange gates. The grand final rematch of the last 10 years, they haven't been close games. The average winning margin is 31 points. We've only had 1 game decided by single digits. Currently, it's a 4-point game Melbourne's way. We've travelled 9 minutes into this final term as Daniels tackled from the restart by Sparrow. Ball spits out to Harms, chucks it on the boot, hits the fat part of the footy. It floats down the line, and Gawn and Gardner see it out right on the junction of the 50 and the boundary line. A throw in half forward for the Demons.
Well, I think the only way the Dogs can win it, English has got to stay in the ruck, so this will be a double whammy, if you like, with Melbourne against him.
So Gawn's gone forward. Jackson sets himself up behind the play. Gawn does the ruck work here against English. He try and take it out of the ruck there. No,
too high.
It was taken high in the process.
English's left arm just clearly got over Gawn's shoulder.
No one argues about it, you notice, anymore, Lee?
Well, you won't give away a 50-metre penalty, Nick.
No, that's what I mean. They all go, you got it right, Ump. Of course you do.
Shows the rules having an immediate impact then.
Let's hope that works.
Well, it does, Corbin, but I mean, we are human. Surely you're able to. Are you sure?
6,000 umpires short is.
No, I understand that. I understand that. A lot of good umpires, though.
So Max Gawn outside 50. Veers out to the right. Surely he can't from here. Gives it everything. Yes, he can. What can't Big Max do? As the Demons forwards come charging to him. Maybe he knew he had it in him. Maybe he didn't. It doesn't matter. It's a goal regardless. And Melbourne's skipper provides a steadier. After the Dogs have kicked a couple of quick goals to start the final term. A costly free kick for the Western Bulldogs. The D's back out by 10. 11-9-75 to the Bulldogs, 10-5-65. 12 minutes gone, final term.
And it was a free kick, and it was a tied free kick.
That's exactly right.
And that's what they're doing, Melbourne, when you've got two absolute giants and great players. They're not just ruckman. Now English is off. Now, I don't know whether he's gone off the ground, but now Cordy, this is a testing time. You're probably going to lose the tap. Now they've got to make sure that Gawn can't clear the ball himself.
Melbourne by 10. Gawn wins the hit out. Down to Neil Bullen, who spun around in the Bontempelli tackle. Ball comes out, says play on. Petrarca collects it, drives it deep forward. Brown down there, no mark. Falls to Crozier, he's wrapped up straight away. And a ball up forward pocket for the D's at the punt road end.
Yeah, you're starting a long way back when you lose the centre bounce against Melbourne. A long way back in their forward line, because they do set up structurally very well.
Inside 50s, 5-4 the Demons' way in this final term. From the throw-up, Hunter trying to get a clearance. Can't do so, and Ed Langdon racing after it, runs out of room in the right forward pocket. Bontempelli and Norton with the opening 2 goals of this final term, and then Max Gawn with a long-range bomb for the Demons. Melbourne by 10 points deep in attack. Ben Brown does the ruck work against Cordy, trying to take it out of the ruck. Got rid of it. Petrarca in the right forward pocket, fires on goal. A bouncer which hits the bottom of the right goalpost. Just hasn't quite been able to finish on a couple of occasions tonight, Christian Petrarca, despite kicking a goal. Melbourne by 11.
Richards hurriedly from the kick out, short to Bontempelli. He's had a problem with his right ankle in this second half. He's been on and off the ground. He kicks with his natural left boot here on the outer edge of the centre square. It carries the head of his intended target. Norton trying to sock it, missed it. Hunter just moves Tomlinson out the way. Gets the footy to Vandermeer. Dogs up over halfway. Kicks inside 50, overcooks it. And Brayshaw takes the intercept mark in the back pocket for the Demons.
Well, Demons everywhere on this side of the ground. They can go fast.
Here they come. Sparrow back flank. Chips it to Bedford. Bedford up to halfway, and Spargo takes the mark.
Off and running around the wing, chips it further afield to Viney. Thought about the hand pass back, instead pushes back behind his mark.
Bulldogs have scrambled back well there, I think, because Melbourne went so wide with the movement. It gave the Dogs time to get back.
Ben Brown offers a lead to the pocket. It won't get there, and Marcus Bontempelli floating across the front takes the mark.
Yep, Demons were on everywhere when that ball turned over deep in defence, but
risky kick loop for McRae, almost turned it over, then could have almost had contact below the knees, and could have been taken high. In the end, it was the first option the umpires paid, and so Jack McRae threw a little bit off balance kick from Marcus Bontempelli, has given away the free kick, and Toby Bedford, the sub, has it just outside 50 at left half forward.
Yeah, it was the fact McRae went to ground to win the ball back. That's fair. That slid in with the knees.
Bedford tries to poke it in the path of Gawn. It's over his head. And Bailey Dale takes the mark for the Bulldogs, 30 metres out from his defensive goal at the punt road end. Melbourne by 11.
The All-Australian Bailey Dale, one of 3 Dogs to make the 22 last year. He goes wide to Crozier, who kicks up to the wing, and Hunter takes the mark, who eventually started in the 22. He was reported to be dropped at the start of the week, then named in the 22, then named as the sub, and then an injury to Johannesson in the warm-up meant he did start after all that. And goes short to Bailey Smith. Low trajectory drop punt down to half forward over the head of Waitman. Joel Smith from Melbourne bangs it back in the other direction, straight to Bailey Smith. Takes the intercept mark for the Bulldogs. His kick touched on the way through, gets to Neil Bullen of the Demons, wrapped up straight away, holds the ball in. Says ball up. Outer edge of the centre square. Melbourne by 11 points, 15 minutes travelled in the final term of the grand final rematch.
Been very disappointed in Waitman, Lingy. Hasn't done enough, has he?
English back onto the ground, won the tap, but only as far as Viney. Squeezed a kick forward. Petrarca, death hand pass, got it to Harms, now to Sparrow, to the run of Langdon at right half forward, 60 metres out, deep kick towards Spargo, one-on-one with Richards. Richards did well, reached over, punches it through for a minor score.
That's a bonus for the Dogs. Richards could hold that position all year. He plays tight, he's got pace, and as you said, he's generally a very good kick.
Melbourne by 12 points.
Richards on the kick out to Bailey Dale, who marks on the back flank, sends it further afield. Northern boundary line, Smith marks. Couple of extra steps, he's able to go back and take his kick. The eventual premiers have won 7 of the last 8 years have won their round 1 fixture. The only outlier was West Coast in 2018, and they went on a 10-game winning streak after losing in round 1. So a good start is imperative on recent history as the Bulldogs try and switch play. Bailey Williams kick, dangerous, trying to get it to McRae on the wing. Spargo breaks it up. Neil Bullen goes on a run. Hand pass to Fritsch, 60 out, kicks to Harms in the goal square. James Harms marks. He's 10 metres out, straight in front.
Just tired turnovers by the Western Bulldogs at the moment.
Yeah.
Trying to come from behind, trying to make the play, and those little 20, 25 metre kicks are just missing the target. And as soon as Melbourne created that turnover, they had options galore. And I thought for a second Fritsch had taken the wrong one because the Dogs were getting back there, but a good grab by Harms.
And this team, they make you pay for your errors. And James Harms trots in from straight in front to make it 3 kicks the difference. Approaching time on in the last. Harms puts it through and pumps his fist. It's Melbourne by 18 as many minutes travelled in the final term. They're 12-11-83. The Dogs 10-5-65. Mick Malthouse, Cameron Ling, Grandstand AFL.
Well, it's been a change, a game of fluctuations, but the one constant is Melbourne's speed and Melbourne's marking capabilities. And the inside 50s, I'm trying to get this machine up to give us what it is for the year, for the game, but Melbourne's speed of getting it into their front 50 has made it so hard to defend, and that's been the biggest problem.
52-45 Melbourne's way. And you're right, Nick, the ease of the Melbourne ball movement compared to the Dogs, who've been excellent at times throughout the game, but it's been done through real grunt and hard work and contested work. Melbourne move it so silkily.
Back in the middle, English one down the tap and then got a soccer forward, a good volley. In front position, Lakeman was trying to do everything he could, but a good mark from Hunt.
Is that a word, Corbs? Not really.
Yeah, I'll
silky.
I think I said coats of paint earlier, so you can tell us. You can tell it's round 1 for us too, Licky.
Christian Petrarca has it at right half back for the Demons. They lead by 18 points. Long kick around the southern wing. Tim English in front. Pulls down a good mark.
Well, he's another one that can have a tick next to his name. He may well have been beaten at times in the ruck, but he has been generally a player that they've had to rely on, given that Martin pulled out and he's had little assistance outside of Accordi, I suppose.
Short to Crozier and now to Daniel. Gives it back to Crozier. Hand pass in the middle of the ground to Treloar. The Bulldogs looking for options inside 50. Norton's the key one. May used his body well. Got Norton off balance and took a good mark. He's going to switch play back to the left back pocket. And Jordan takes the mark.
It really does tell us something about the Dogs, the way they get to play for the year. They have to play quick because they've only got the one marking player at this stage until Bruce enters back in the fray, or English out of a forward pocket and find another ruckman. Otherwise, they'll just have to play quick football.
Jordan goes short to Hunt. He chips short back to Jordan. Left half back, kicks down the wing, lands in the lap of English. Intercept mark right on halfway. Melbourne by 18 points.
17 possessions. It's been a pretty good day by English.
Time on in the final term. English sends a high ball down to half forward. There's about 8 of them at the drop. Falls down to Vandermeer. Hand pass away to Liberatore. High up and under inside 50. Arriving late, Smith crashes the pack, spills to Petrarca, and he can just bang it out of the danger area up towards the centre square. Jackson chasing after the footy, tackles Daniel without it. Umpire says play on. Now a pack forms. Still says play on. You can throw a blanket over around 10 bodies. Oliver trying to hand it out. Daniel throws his arm back, wanting to free, doesn't get it. And now Richards is taken to the ground, and after all that, the ump says, I'll have it. Attacking edge of the centre square for the Bulldogs, kicking to the city end of this final quarter. And Jake Bowie gets a nice round of applause as he hits the bench.
Over a dozen players around the congestion. Flicked over the back by English. Petrarca onto it. Hand pass to Jordan and now to Oliver. Another possession as he kicks wide for Joel Smith. So Oliver up to 29 disposals. Petrarca with 35.
And 13 clearances between them, Clinchy.
McRae and Bailey Smith with over 30 for the Dogs. The kick up towards Ben Brown. Couldn't take the mark. And off the hands of Bedford, it goes over the boundary line.
And 18 clearances between those two. Jack McRae's had 10 of them. It's been superb.
So the Dogs have looked their best when they've been able to get their clearance game going, but it's the marking targets inside 50 that's been most notable for the Dogs. Melbourne by 18 points from the throw-in. Gawn knocks it down. Vandermeer, really the only player there, gathers for the Dogs. Hand pass to Daniel. Now out to McRae. Another possession come out for him. 34 as he chips the kick forward to Bailey Smith. Didn't have to break stride as he marks between wing and half forward. Comes inboard on the 45. Back to McRae. Thought about the hand pass back to Smith. Now around the back to Daniel. Oh, where are the options now? Looking for some run. Back to McRae. Kicks inside 50 straight to Angus Brayshaw. He's set up just for that kick. He marks inside the defensive 50 for Melbourne. And short to Hunt at half back.
Again, it was the lack of a second tall threat then. When Bailey Smith marked the ball, McRae kicked it to him. He wanted to go quick, but the Melbourne defenders were all just watching Norton and all positioned perfectly, and so they couldn't go quick.
Humid night in Melbourne. Jaden Hunt in the short sleeves tonight. He kicks up to the wing. There's a free here for a high tackle. It's going Tim English's way, so he'll take it here on the wing.
Which poses the question how they're going to use Ugle-Hagan for the year. Do they just play him and see if he can be that threat?
Well, I think they've got to get some more class in. Now he can mark. He's a goal kicker.
English to Hunter. Hand pass away to McRae to Bailey Smith. Put Daniel under pressure. Turnover. Here go the Demons. Neil Bullen to Brown. Hand pass to Oliver. Runs over halfway. Weighted hand pass to Neil Bullen. Running downhill. They won't catch him, but he misses. Oh, would have brought the house down. He was rolling into the open goal, and Neil Bullen at full speed misses out to the left. Behind a Melbourne lead by 19. 23 played in the final term.
Time starting to run out for the Dogs, so Bailey Dale just sends it long towards English. He juggles the mark in front of Jackson.
Well, I'll keep saying it. He's had a very, very good day. Given where he's been, he had nightmares of knowing who he's coming up against. And to get through the game like he has been really outstanding. No wonder he's put his hands on his hips at the moment.
Short to Crozier and now to Caleb Daniel, who has it on the Great Southern Stand wing. Sends it up towards half forward. McRae dropped the mark, enough time to regather. Quickly moves it inside 50. Norton one-on-one with May. May punches it down. Still a chance for the Dogs. Shaki gathers. Hand pass to Hannon. Fumble. And Melbourne are away. Fumble against the Demons and you'll pay. Bedford went for a bounce. It didn't come back up. Hannon slipped over offering chase. Gets the hand pass to Petrarca. Dodges and weaves. Spots Oliver out at right half forward. He can take the mark. Thought about chipping it over the top to Langdon. Goes more direct. Great vision. And Bedford kept running. He marks in the corridor directly in front. 40 metres out from goal.
Yeah, a lot of tiredness. When you can settle and pick and choose who you kick to, you know that you're on top as far as the game goes. The Dogs were just trailing in their opponents there.
It's funny, isn't it, Mick? It's probably the time where the players are at their fittest and freshest coming up for pre-season, but not even close to true match fitness.
Oh, yeah.
Your legs feel like 100-kilo blocks of concrete by this stage of the game.
Toby Bedford, the sub, in his third AFL game. Can he kick a first goal? He can't. In his first game since 2020, misses the left-hand side. Chance to try and secure a spot in the reigning Premier's side. Melbourne lead by 20 points.
Hurriedly bringing the ball back into play. The Dogs' time is against them now. Vandermeer can't complete the mark at half-back, and it's out of play. So a throw in 70 out from the Demons' goal. They have 19 there from their grand final side, so 4 missing. Petty, Rivers, Hibbard and Lever, all part of their back 6, and they lost Salem on the run with a knee injury in that opening half, so as a result he's on crutches. Some of the cost coming out of the game for Melbourne as Gawn just whacks it 20 metres further afield. It's out of play again. A throw in 50 out from the Demons' goal. They lead by 20 points. The crowd a little light on than what we're expecting. We were hoping for 73,000. The crowd just 58,000.
Gawn sends Melbourne into attack once more. Bailey Fritsch can't take the mark with Williams, and the ball's out of play. Deep in the right forward pocket of the punt road end.
So 58,002. Almost on the button.
So it'll be interesting to see what they get tomorrow night, whether they get over 60,000. Trying to get a record crowd in this opening weekend of footy with 5 games in Melbourne. Jackson lays the tackle following up from his ruck work, and Gardner can't break clear. Melbourne still deep in attack. 25 metres out from their goal. Jackson beautifully over the back to Petrarca. Snaps on his right boot. Silver service. And if you give Christian Petrarca that sort of time and space, you know he's going to make you pay. Petrarca with his second. Melbourne lead by 26 points. The Demons are going to open the season with a win. 13-13-91 to the Bulldogs. 10-5-65.
Well, just how's this for a stat line for the man who won the Norm Smith medal? Sometimes stats lie, Mick, but I think it's a pretty accurate indication of Petrarca's night. 37 disposals, 15 of those contested, 11 inside 50, so real attacking disposals, 9 clearances, and now the 2 goals. That is massive influence on a game of footy.
And for second quarter, you didn't know he was even out there. So for half that second quarter, he probably didn't have a register.
No, I think at one stage about 18 minutes into the second quarter, he had maybe 2 handballs.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the only time in the game where he went quiet, and that was the Bulldogs' best period of the game.
Was.
Melbourne by 26 points. Their biggest lead of the night was 27. It was way back in the opening quarter. There's a free kick here in the middle. It's going the Bulldogs' way. They took the advantage. McRae, loose hand pass, put Trelaw under the pump. He coughs it up. Brayshaw off centre half back for the Demons. The 1-2 with Neil Bullen. Brayshaw then misses another hand pass over the head of Hunt. Out to meet at Bontempelli from the goal square. Collects, gives it to Trelaw. Centre half forward, shoots goalward. He's got it. 1 back for the Bulldogs. And Trelaw with his second of the night. Pops it through at the 28-minute mark. And the gap is now 20. Final 100 seconds in the game. 13-13-91. The Bulldogs 11-5-71. 20-point buffer, Nick Malthouse, Cameron Ling.
Well, you know how I was saying stats have painted a fairly accurate picture of Christian Petrarca's? Well, in this case, I reckon they lie a little bit. Adam Trelaw's had 25 disposals.
Yeah.
He has kicked 2 goals, so credit him with that. But I don't reckon he's had much influence in the game for that 25 disposals.
Spot on. He's had no influence. That's why I reckon in the centre you've got to be have 2 real hard nuts, and he might be the floater outside. You can't have another one like him there because you're just going to get no real physical component whatsoever.
He's gone at 68% disposal efficiency. Adam Trelaw. English wins down the tap at Melbourne through Neil Bullen, comes up with it, kicks end over end towards half forward. Jackson protected the space, tried to allow Bedford to run onto it. He's under pressure from Bailey Williams. Hand pass clear, but Rourke Smith onto it. Hand pass to Richards, almost swung the full 360 in the tackle. Trelaw tries to link up again with Williams. Too slick for Rourke Smith. Trelaw has another go at it, but Petrarca emerges with it. Hand pass to Neil Bullen. He's got Cozzy Pickett inside 50, and he takes the mark directly in front, 45 metres out.
Well, the 2 small forwards that you expect so much from have been disappointing today. I think Pickett and Waitman have just been floaters. Give the crowd a little bit to think about when they launch themselves at the footy, but that's not their job. Their job is to crumb, support, tackle.
He's just had the 1 tackle tonight, Mick. He had 3 disposals in the grand final, just 4 tonight. Cozzy, so he hasn't had a lot of the footy. A chance to strike late here. Starts his run up in the middle of the MCG, crosses through 50, beautiful kick. Roars with delight, and Melbourne fans are screaming with delight as well. Back out to 26 points. 14-13-97 to the Bulldogs, 11-5-71. Half an hour gone in the final term.
And the thing with Cozzy Pickett is we all love watching him play. We're so excited by him. He does some incredible things. He's 40 games into his career, so he's going to build that consistency that you're referring to there, Mick, where he knows, okay, it's not going to be a perfect night. He's not going to kick 4 goals and lighting up the MCG. But when things aren't quite going to plan, keep returning back to the basics, the fundamentals of his game. Get back to front and square, back to front and square, back to front. And then when the odd opportunity presents and you are 1 out and you've got a chance to take a hanger,
do it.
You go for it then, rather than relying on that being your one wood and your only go-to in a game.
You know, as sort of players, you've got to be able to get the football all the time, but if you have 1 tackle a quarter, that's 4. You don't often have 4 tackles, so 1 a quarter brings you into the game.
Dees by 26, Gawn grabs it out the ruck, kicks forward, Bedford grabs it, he's tackled, Richards wrestles it from him, he's slung to the ground by Pickett. And we'll have the ball up still inside the centre square.
bit late for the fight now, Dogs.
Yeah.
So just settle in and make sure you're all available next week.
A bit of push and shove as they get up in the bottom of all of that. Gawn wins the tap. Pack forms at his feet again. Dunkley standing over the top of the footy. Umpire circles. And the ball up. And so the Demons have first premiership defence in 57 years. It'll start with a win. They reinforce the result from grand final day. And they get to sing the song. Both of them. The Demons by 26 points.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
If the DJ hasn't queued up Freed from Desire to run after this, he has no sense of humour whatsoever. The Demons kicked the first 4 goals of the new season to lead by 27 points, time on in the first. The Western Bulldogs then banged on the next 8 goals in the game before Melbourne came rattling home as they did on grand final day. They kicked 10 of the last 13. The Demons by 26 points in the finish in front of 58,002 fans as Melbourne came back to life.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
The goal kickers Clinchy, 3 for Ben Brown, 2 for Fritsch, 2 for Petrarca, and then 1 each to Harms, Jackson, Viney, Gawn, Langdon, Bowie and Pickett. Meanwhile for the Western Bulldogs, 4 for Aaron Norton, 2 for Adam Treloar, and then singles to Bontempelli, Crozier, Waitman, Hannon and Dale. The only cost for Melbourne, a left knee complaint for Christian Salem and a bung right ankle for Marcus Bontempelli, but he did play out the 4 quarters.
So the Demons start the 2022 season in the same fashion as they closed out the 2021 season. Winners by 26 points. The thoughts of Cameron Ling and Nick Moldhouse with you on ABC Sport.
It was a game that fluctuated a lot through the first 3 quarters in particular. Melbourne were outstanding in the first quarter. The Bulldogs were extremely disappointing.
Yeah.
And then flipped the game on its head with that second quarter. It was done from around the contest, the clearance work of the Bulldogs. It went up to a whole new level. Melbourne, I reckon, had probably got fairly comfortable with the way they were going in the first quarter and thought, well, here we go, we're just going to run away with this one. And the Bulldogs flipped it by winning the ball at the coalface, efficiently getting it out and giving their forwards, in particular Aaron Norton, a bit of a look. Outside of that period, Mick, where they dominated clearances, Melbourne only had to break even in the contest and clearances for the remainder of the game to be so much more efficient. You remarked a number of times throughout the night that Melbourne just moved the ball far easier than what the Western Bulldogs were doing. All of the Bulldogs' goals or scores or scoring opportunities came from real hard work and at times slow ball movement and a big contest and maybe half a chance, whereas Melbourne at times just looked scintillating with their ball movement.
Yeah. Well, and they played like a premiership side, really confident in themselves, multiple marking opportunity. When you analyse their side, we know that they've got a dominant midfield, and you throw in 2 rucks that just wore English down. But I thought, a credit to English. But then you look at the speed off the off and around the ball, off their half back line and off the centre line, and even their high half forwards have got speed. But the thing I liked about it was that when they were in trouble, they went up the line and they found Jackson, or they found Gawn, or they found Brown. Brown was much better than what he has been early last year. They found Fritsch. Lever didn't play. Tomlinson was okay. I thought Norton was good, but May was okay. So they've got this set lines of players that you can actually go through. You have a look at the Dogs. English marked the ball and marked it pretty well. Poor old Norton hit to come right up the ground, even though he has kicked 4 goals, the leading goal kicker of the night. But outside of that, who takes a mark for them? I mean, when you've got Cordy, Shacky, Gardner, Keefe.
Alex Keefe, yeah.
They just don't mark the footy.
And Mick, when you talk about Melbourne's speed, when I look through their team, outside of, let's say, Cozzy Pickett, who didn't have a big game tonight, Hunt, who didn't have a big game tonight, nobody else is necessarily
Langdon's got reasonable leg speed.
Sorry, Langdon, you're right, has got that and that real up and down the ground run. But Petrarca's explosive, yes. Oliver's not that quick. Bracio's not that quick. Viney's not that quick. Neil Bullen's not that quick. Harm's not that quick. But what they do is move the ball quick.
Yeah.
It's just bang, 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 and it's gone. And by the time the opposition, the Bulldogs in this case, have turned to defend, it's already gone through 2-3 sets of hands, and it's gone on different angles. So you don't need pure leg speed to still be a really fast team.
Who had the most possessions tonight? Not a player, the team.
I would have said the way the Bulldogs overused it a bit. I reckon they might have had the most disposals.
They did. And that's exactly what you're just saying there. You know, like, the difference is in we can be so seduced by stats that it's what. Have a look at the ball, see how it ends up in Fritsch's hands or in Brown's hands or Gawn marking the goal square. How many times does it actually touch a Melbourne player, and how far does he go with the footy, whether it be by leg, by hand or by foot? They don't over go lateral. They far prefer to go through the corridor or stay on the line. They will go lateral if they get into trouble. But they were a remarkable side tonight because, for all intents and purposes, that second quarter looked like, have they had their big blowout and they need another couple of games before they find it, but they refound their mojo back in that third quarter after, 8 goals, I think the Dogs kicked.
Yep.
Now, that can be a worry, but it's also the way the game gets played these days. But if I was a Dog supporter, I wouldn't be cutting my wrists. I wouldn't be going, this is the end of the game. I don't know when Bruce is back. And you made the remark about the young bloke on the bench who didn't get on.
Ugle Hagen.
I mean, at some stage you've got to go, you know what, we've got to pump.
Coming in, guys.
We've got to give him 4 or 5 games.
So the Demons winners by 26 points. More thoughts from Mick Moldhouse and Cameron Ling in a moment. But down to Tim Hodges in the Demons rooms.
That's a seriously happy rooms. Toby Bedford is into the middle. It's the first time he gets to sing the song. And here we go, the Demons get to sing the song again.
So Tim Hodges down in the Melbourne rooms. The Demons winners by 26 points. We'll hopefully get an interview in the not too distant future, and we'll also take you through some of the other key talking points of the games for the rest of the weekend. Just briefly in the cricket, Mick, Pakistan needing 146 runs for victory. So 4 for 360. Ooh. Babar Azam closing in on his 200. He's on 188. Mohammad Rizwan on 43. So final session. Australia needing 6 unlikely wickets. Pakistan needing 146 runs. So
it's a session to go. So it's a session.
They're in the final session. Yep.
Well, why don't they just go the slog, Pakistan, and create the greatest history in the history of the world? Because who else has chased down 500?
Nope.
And won the game. You suspect that's a long way. How many overs? You've got to bowl 30 overs, do they? It'll be 30 overs?
Yeah. They'd
stump. Yeah.
So it's 4 and over, 5 and over.
Yeah.
Stumps is meant to be around 11:30 our time. So they've still got most of a session to go.
Yeah,
or an hour.
Football's been good, hasn't it? But that Test cricket.
Come on. For some cricket people, some footy people trying to unwind when they make their way home just to watch the closing stages of the cricket. So just a few more thoughts on the Demons. The question was going to be how much of a marker would they be for season 2022 and how close will anyone else be able to get to them? Keep in mind they won their opening 9 games to start the season, so the hunger and the drive, that was going to be the big question tonight. Could we see a few players who might have taken shortcuts over the off-season and maybe not come back with the same drive and determination? I didn't notice that tonight.
No, I didn't notice any of that tonight, Clinchy. You're right. What I did notice again, we spoke about the momentum swings of the game, was the momentum swings rode on Petrarca a lot as well. The one time that he was quiet for the game and disappeared was the Western Bulldogs going crazy and kicking 8 goals. The rest of the game, Petrarca was in total control. But I think you posed the question, Clinchy, throughout the game. One of our listeners asked about Clayton Oliver. Is he forgotten a little bit in the discussion of the best player in the competition? I think Petrarca's that slight bracket above Oliver, but as a combo, you know, let's assume you've got the exact perfect right matchup for Petrarca and you shut him away. Well, Oliver's going to go to town. He's going to go crazy and have a heap of the footy. And then you've got Viney and Harms and all these different other players who can come in there and have an impact. You go to Oliver, well, Petrarca's going to run amok. So the ability to have absolute A-grade multiple options combining with somebody like Max Gawn just means it's a nightmare to match up. And they've seen it work now. They've seen success from it. So I think they embrace it more. I remember back in the teams that I played with, once, you know, Gary Ablett Jr. might have got tagged one week, had a quieter game, but Joel Selwood or Jimmy Bartell, someone like that, would run amok and have a huge game, or Joel Corey. Well, then Gary would just trust that the next week, perhaps the opposition will shift to a Joel Selwood tag, and then Gaz could run amok and that. So you just trust that you're going to get your little lick of the lollipop eventually if you keep doing the hard work and keep playing. So Oliver and Petrarca know that. They both know that no opposition is going to be able to stop both of them in a week. So, like tonight, probably the 2 best players on the ground. Next week, you might keep Oliver quiet, but Petrarca has a huge game. The following week, it might flip around. So to have that confidence in each other, it's a pretty special feeling.
And throw in 2 special ruckmen. One at 30, well, at barely 21, I suppose. Jackson, I'm not too sure how old. I know he's very young. But you've got a variety of ruckmen in their side. When I say variety, they've got 2, but they do play differently. So getting back to even what you just said in regard to if you sit on one, what happens to the other one, but quite often you can sit on a player, it's quite remarkable, you can sit on a player and the one ruckman is the one ruckman who keeps going to the same area and you knock this player over. Let's say it's Petrarca gets knocked over by Dunkley because Gawn keeps going to the same spot. Jackson comes on, he hits it with his left hand and he hits it behind him. All of a sudden, instead of Petrarca getting knocked off there, Oliver opens up or Petrarca finds space there. So when you've got 2 dominant ruckmen or potentially dominant ruckmen who can also, I'd love to see what the clearances are by both English and Gawn because they follow up their football. So English was fantastic, but Jackson and Gawn tonight probably had 5 or 6 clearances themselves.
Gawn had 4 clearances himself and Jackson the one. So 5 between them.
There it is. Fantastic.
They're going to be a pretty good double act. So let's head into the Melbourne rooms to Tim Hodges.
Clinchy, Jack Viney has been good enough to come straight over. Can I just ask, you went in after the song for a meeting. There was a lot of yahooing. You're a very happy bunch.
No, it's obviously terrific to kick our season off with a win against a top quality team. So, kick things off with grand final rematch. Tensions were high, so it was good to execute our game plan and get back to where we finished.
Can I just ask the guy behind you, Adam Tomlinson, was some of the yahooing for him, 318 days he's had to wait for this opportunity to get back out there. You must be really happy for him for watching him sit and watch you guys have the ultimate success and just hoping to get out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year would have been brutal for Tomo to sit on the sidelines, but the way he's gone about it, he was a genuine contributor last year, even though he couldn't play, and then to come back, work his backside off, have the off-season, pre-season he has, to get his spot in the team and then, perform really strongly tonight. It's a credit to him, and it's terrific to have him back in footy.
Just the mindset as well for your team that second term. Did you start to not lose faith, but just think, this is not going how we wanted to, especially after our hot start?
Yeah, never lose faith. Football's a game of momentum shift. So we felt like we started really strongly. A few things fell off in the second, and it was just about wrestling it back. And felt like back end of the second quarter, we were getting back to our game style and grinding things back to our favour, and then we just continued on in the second half.
It's awesome to have Jack for a few minutes. I'll send you upstairs, Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling.
Jack, well done tonight. Fantastic. And I haven't seen you yet, but congratulations on last year's incredible achievement as well. Jack, can you take us to that second quarter? Was it as simplistic as they just got on top of you in the clearances and their efficiency from the clearances put you under the pump? Or were there other things tactically that we might have missed going on that they threw at you?
No, that was a pretty big area to address. Obviously, when you're losing out of stoppage, in particular centre bounce, you're already starting on the back foot, and Doggies have got some really strong forwards and strong midfielders that can push forward and kick goals. So we really had to wrestle that back, and even though we're going to lose a couple of midfielders, but if we can push back into defence and support our defenders, that was kind of what we were chatting about.
We were talking before the game, Jack, about what Melbourne can do this year, and obviously got you guys as the favourites, but the risk is that some of those players who played really important roles last year, perhaps looking to do other things, get a bit more glory, whatever it might be. But looking at tonight, it seems like the group is really united in what they need to do. Did you sense that over the pre-season, that there wasn't the big heads of a premiership? It was, right, let's get back to work and go and win another one?
Yeah, I thought it was a terrific pre-season. The radar was going early just to see if anyone was complacent, what the attitude of the players was like. So personally and the rest of the leaders were kind of onto that stuff early, but didn't sense a whiff of it. Everyone came back in terrific shape, and we just continued to train our butts off. So I think we've understand what's made us a good side, and we just want to continue to get back to that ASAP. And it's going to continue to be our challenge throughout the year. Just because we did it tonight doesn't mean we can't slide into old habits. So, we're going to continue to push that and drive that really hard throughout the year.
Yeah, congratulations, Jack. It was a great season that you've all had, and again tonight. Just on, I was going to ask you about Christian Salem. Is there any update on that at all that we should know, or I know we don't like delving into too deep on, particularly if it's a serious injury.
Yeah, no. Personally, I'm really unaware of how serious it. I saw him hobbling off, but that's the extent of it. I don't really know exactly if he's hurt his knee or whatnot. Sure. But fingers crossed he's all right.
Yeah, and just following from what Lingy said, you knew way back in October or thereabouts that round one was going against the Dogs. Once you're beaten aside in a grand final like that, is there any discussion during your pre-season or in particular last week of the efforts required to make sure you keep the foot on the throat so that they don't become a challenger to you?
Yeah, we didn't specifically mention the Doggies too much in our pre-season. Like I said, I think we understood what made us a really good side, and that was pretty much our focus throughout the pre-season, was just getting better at that stuff. With the understanding that the Doggies are going to want to get one up on us in the back of our minds. So, it's a fierce rivalry. They're a terrific team, and we knew we had to be on an A game tonight.
Sure. We spoke up here about the core players. If you guys, and you're one of them, if you guys go a bit flat, who is going to be able to step up in some of your younger players? And I'm not talking about Jackson here because I know he's a really young player, but in that 8-goal blitz, I'll call it a blitz, it certainly happened very, very quickly from our point of view. Is there young players there that you think that are going to have to stand up or step up to just change? Because as we've said before, you're going to be hunted, and you probably need the next layer of players to jump up when you are all flat or you're getting knocked over. Is there someone there that you need?
Yeah, no, from a midfield point of view, I look at people like Tom Sparrow and James Jordan. Even James Harms, he's a little touch older, but all those guys play significant roles for us in our midfield, and they're really young, but they're contributing massively and really make us function really strongly as a midfield.
Sure. And Luke Dunson, is he likely to get games, do you think? How's he training and what's his mindset?
Yeah, his mindset's to crack into the team.
Right.
He's had a terrific pre-season, a bit of interrupted with he's had some back stuff, so he's missed a touch of training throughout the pre-season,
right.
But he's put a really strong couple of months together and performing strongly.
Right.
Jack Viney with us in the Melbourne rooms. The Demons home by 26 over the Western Bulldogs on Grandstand AFL. Jack, you mentioned it's a fierce rivalry. We know that sort of true rivalries can't be promoted into existence. It's not just, they had these great rivalry 20 years ago and now it lives with the players, but it feels like this rivalry, and you've played in big games against each other, is real. What does it feel like as a player? Does it feel like a genuine grudge match?
Yeah. Well, from my point of view, I feel like it's particularly last year, it was number 1 and 2 going at it. So it was top of the ladder. The best teams all year competing it out. We got the opportunity to play them 3 times last year. So you get to the granny. There's a bit of previous history there, and then we play them first round this season. So. It definitely feels like a tough competition, rivalry coming into this game. Whether that kind of continues into the future, we'll wait and see.
We've heard about sort of the little spats off field and the controversy around the song. Is it personal? Do you actually feel like you enjoy beating those guys more than any other team?
Oh no, there's nothing personal about it. We have a huge amount of respect for the Western Bulldogs. And it's purely competition. We see them as a massive threat, a terrific team. So that's why we've got to come out and bring our A game, but nothing for respect for the doggies.
Jack Viney with us on Grandstand AFL. Jack Max has kicked some big goals after the siren to get you top of the table, but from outside 50, ruckmen aren't meant to do that, are they?
No, they're not. But you never know with Maxie. He can make some magic happen out in the footy field, so I never put it past him.
Did you think he had that in him, though?
Oh, I didn't. I was kind of waiting for it to drop short, and it actually didn't come off the boot that nicely, but it went through the big stick, so that's what you want.
And tonight was a wonderful night for the Melbourne fans that weren't able to be there in Perth, and for a lot of the current group as to how connected they are to the past of Melbourne and the current playing team. You're probably one of the few exceptions with your dad having lived so much of the Melbourne journey. Has it been nice to reflect upon it all with him and experience a lot of the joy through your success?
Yeah, no, it's been, off the back of the success we had last season, it really brought the whole football club, past and present together. And there was a really strong connection amongst the footy club last year, which was terrific. Everyone felt it, from the supporters to the players to the staff to past players, including my old man. So, I don't want to keep touching on last year too much. We're into 2020 now, but the club's extremely connected, and it was great to kick off 2022 with a win and continue that close bond amongst the football club.
Does it surprise you a bit when he's a bit emotional, though?
Yeah, he's not an overly emotional man. I've seen him cry a couple of times. One time at my wedding, and the other one was on a Fox Footy doco. So it was interesting, but it's always good to see the old man shed a tear.
Shows what it means to everyone who spends so much time involved in footy. Jack, congratulations on the win. Thanks for spending some time with us on ABC Grandstand.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Jack Viney joining us from the victorious Melbourne Rooms, winners by 26 points. They take on the Gold Coast Suns next Saturday night. The Western Bulldogs, they back up straight away against the Blues next Thursday night. So the Dogs, no doubt, will be keen to test their midfield against a side who's not the best.
Yeah, and they were comprehensively outplayed except for that period. But at times you saw the quality that they can be, and it is based around a midfield, a really good midfield. Bontempelli's a worry because he was sore and how he pulls up and didn't have his usual influence, but McRae's an absolute ripper. Bailey Smith, as good a young player.
Got to keep him in the middle.
Yeah.
Got to keep him up there.
Josh Dunkley, I reckon they've got to work out the role they use Treloar, where he can have an impact with his run and not necessarily as the in and under. But so it's a quality midfield. But you can have the world's greatest midfield, but if you're not complementing it with the right facets in other areas of the ground, their forward line was just so one-dimensional. Their defence is a worry. Bailey Dale's a beautiful ball user. Caleb Daniels a beautiful ball user, but how the others defend is going to be a worry. So, yes, the Dogs are going to be right there. Don't worry about that. I'm not being too doom and gloom. But as good as the midfield is, the other areas of the ground are going to need some work, and maybe they take a risk on a Ugelhagen. I have no idea what his training form's been like, all of that. Luke Beveridge knows a hell of a lot better than me. But I wonder if you just play him 10 games early on in the year to get a look and let him understand and get some games in, and then you'll know. You don't want to be trying to do it in the back end of the year.
Well, Lingy, we've looked at Shaki, and we've tried to fit him into the side, and we don't want to overburden ourselves, and we don't want to, sort of lay into him too much. But he's not a real competitor. So why wouldn't you put someone in there who may not be a great competitor, but probably got a bit more aerial skills, certainly ground skills? They got him as a forward that can create opportunity. Now he's into this is his second year or third year, second year. Yep. Second year. It's just about time to do that. But so long as they've only got the one key forward, and if they've got to wait for a long time before they bring back
Josh Bruce,
they're going to be confronted with the same thing time and time again. They're going to have we said about Melbourne went to sleep. When their top players were out of it, their next 10 couldn't do it. The Bulldogs are exactly the same, but the difference is here they're distributed through the key lines. It's like a great soccer side. If you don't have a striker, you'll go 0-0 all the time. You've got to be able to put one through the net, and Norton's kicked 4 goals, probably missed one he should have got. Who else was going to kick goals? Waitman didn't look like getting anywhere near it. So
Cordy was just there to make a contest.
Yeah, unless English can go in there and Martin gets back in the side and rucks. But the way English played today, I think that was to me, that was a bonus the way he played today, because he's been given a shellacking by those two players over the last couple of seasons. I thought he stood up today, English. Yep. He might have been beaten in the ruck, but around the ground he's had a fair bit of the football too. So it's not doom and gloom by the Dogs, but they've got to arrest that reliance on Norton, and they've got to have some key back down there. Outside of Keith's okay, who can defend the ball in the air.
Yeah, they lost Easton Wood too, and they seemingly haven't replaced him.
It's only saying you lost it. When people retire, they retire. Yeah. I don't call it a loss. A loss is, say, someone who's out injured and you might be out for, like Bruce is a loss at the moment. So unless Bob Murphy's going to come back I don't think that'll happen, and so
it's
therefore
a piece that they had last year that they haven't got this year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they haven't replaced it. And their forward line, they haven't replaced it.
Yep.
They haven't arrested the problems that probably caused the main, not only the grand final, but other games where they lost the games. They lost it in the same capacity. They didn't lose. Their mids were still. McRae was still averaging his 30, and Bontempelli and this sort of stuff. So that hasn't changed. They've got to change the other dynamics, though.
Yeah, for midfield dominance and with Bailey Dale and Caleb Daniel, you still need to be able to score easily to take the burden off the midfield and almost create some rest opportunities. So the midfield, your main weapon of the way that you play, can stay fresh. If they're in a constant doing all that work, get it down there, but it comes back out, and then they're running the other way, and then they're running back to get it back in, and then they're running the other. It just wears them down, and the very best, which Melbourne are, they exploit it. Yeah. They can play it the same intensity for the entire game, because if Petrarca and Oliver come out for any reason, well, it's Viney and Harms can go in. Yes, they're not quite as A+ grade as the other two, but they're still A grade and B+. Like they will maintain that intensity so you can play it, so they can sustain the way that they play for longer. The Bulldogs don't score easily, therefore they rely on just having the revs in the red zone the whole time. Yeah. And that's exhausting.
It's
really
that
hard.
depth, isn't it?
Yep.
You know, Melbourne have the depth. James Lever goes out tonight. All of a sudden, Adam Tomlinson comes back in. Missed out on last year. Joel Smith didn't look out of place.
Very good tonight.
Played his role. But, yeah, I guess for the Dogs, they did recruit Tim O'Brien, whether he plays back or forward. Probably more likely back than forward.
That's a good pickup. I reckon he's going to be a good pickup for them.
Yep. Steph Martin obviously missed tonight, so if they have the two rucks, potentially the option to play one forward, whether that's going to be any better than what we saw tonight, we'll find out. And Sam Darcy's the other one who's had the foot injury, so he's unlikely to feature as a 18-year-old early in the season till potentially the back end, and Jamara Ugle-Hagan wherever he finishes out. But that's the beauty of the Demons, is they've just got so much depth in every area of the ground, and they look like a well-set side with Ben Brown back to full fitness. Tom McDonald back to defence. They just move the magnets around.
Yeah, and Bailey Fritsch did not have a good game tonight, but still kicked 2 goals, contributed. He,
and dangerous player.
Barely touched the footy in the first half, but stayed in there, and they trust the fact that it will happen. It will come. It may not be my turn to have a game like I did in the grand final, but I can keep presenting, and I'll find a way to contribute as a forward. So it works, and that belief comes from winning and having that success. You just trust that, okay, don't panic. Things have gone a little bit pear-shaped. The opposition have thrown something at us. The momentum's their way. Let's work our way back out of it, and we'll be fine. And that calmness in that moment is really what Melbourne is doing now.
Yeah.
Can you be too confident? Do Melbourne need to be a little bit careful they don't get too carried away?
Not when... I don't think so when you're in this... It's a magical zone to be in, where you have so much trust in your own body and ability as an individual, and you look around and you think, well, even if it's not quite working, I've got that bloke standing next to me who's an amazing player. I've got that bloke there. For me, it was a turn around over my shoulder and there's Matthew Scarlett and Harry Taylor and Corey Enright. I could look at a centre bounce and we've lost a couple in a row, and I've got, there's Gary Ablett Jr. and there's Joel Selwood and there's Joel Corey, and I've got Brad Ottens tapping it down. I look up the ground and there's Chapman and John. That just fills you with unbelievable belief in what you do as a group. Melbourne's heading into that zone. They didn't have a 200-game player in the grand final. They are as in their prime as you get for a premiership team. I think
they'll
that
be challenged,
belief
though.
They'll be challenged.
Look, I totally agree with what you're saying. I still think that they will get challenged, and they'll get challenged in a big way, because it's going to take a side like... For the life of me, and I am not Luke Beveridge in Luke Beveridge's coaching box, but Dunkley had an impact, and he wasn't out there in that third quarter. Remarkably, he wasn't out in the middle in the third quarter. Goes back in the last quarter and they kick a couple of goals. So they've got to adjust that. But there's going to be sides who, in that 8, and we don't know who, Brisbane, we'll see what Brisbane can do. We'll see what... but, Sydney's an interesting side on a more compact ground. Greater Western Sydney, for their midfield, now they're going to be without Toby Green for 6 weeks, but they'll be interesting because they've got some really genuine midfielders that can go, and got a good ruckman. So I don't think it's going to be a late Emma's there, and maybe the biggest problem will be themselves, as you said. It may well be we keep cleaning sides up and who's our next target, and you get a little bit sloppy. But if you've got enough pride in your own performance, that's, there's the reason why sides have double up. I'm not sure they can win a double up, but there's reasons why they do have double ups.
Agreed. I think they're entering that zone that Richmond entered, where you just have total belief in each other. And you're right, it's not saying you won't be challenged. Every team is looking at Melbourne and how they play. How do we stop the Petrarca-Oliver combo? What do we do with Gawn? How do we make May accountable? Whatever happens when Lever plays, how do we stop him? They are going to be analysed to within an inch of their lives. But they're entering that zone where they just trust that even if a game is shifting a little bit in the opposition's direction, don't panic. We've got this sorted. Richmond had it when they were... Cochin would influence a moment. They knew they had Martin. Lambert would play his role. Then they'd have their defence perfectly set up. And all of that would happen. Well, that runs for about 4 years, that magic zone. You just got to capitalise on that. And you're right.
And touch wood, you don't get major injuries.
Absolutely.
And that's when you look through time, some clubs will just, like Dusty Martin at the end of last year, getting knocked over with that kidney thing. It took a lot of oomph out of Richmond's last game. Was their last game, was it, that happened? Second last game or third last game?
Yeah, just before finals.
Yeah, so you lose your momentum.
It's funny what you can cover, though, when you're an unbelievable team.
Yep.
So Richmond lose Alex Rance. No worries. They go on and still be the best team in the comp for multiple years afterwards. Now, if they'd lost to Dusty Martin, maybe that's different, but Rance is incredible. I remember, and I'm talking a little bit about my team, sorry, I shouldn't go on and on about it, but we lost our Australian centre-half back Matthew Egan in the last round of 2007, and it didn't faze us, apart from feeling for him. It didn't faze us because we had total belief, Darren Milburn will cover this, Tom Harley will do that, Matthew Scarlett will do that, and you just fix it because you believe in yourself so much. You can cover those things, but there are probably unlosable players as well. Now, that's probably Christian Petrarca, or maybe it's Max Gawn for Melbourne, one or two of those guys.
Yeah,
Melbourne winners by 26 points over the Western Bulldogs. Tim Hodges has been good enough to wander to the Bulldogs rooms to bring us some reaction from there.
Clinchy, Caleb Daniel has been good enough to come over to join us. Caleb, can we just get the temperature of the coach? You've just come out of the meeting, had a stretch. How was he after that performance?
Yeah, I think we were all pretty disappointed. Head coach was exactly the same as all of us. I think we sort of shot ourselves in the foot with some turnovers, and they kicked a heap of goals from those. So, tidy up some ball use and that sort of stuff, sort of helps out a fair bit.
Do you take some confidence, though, in that second term? There was a 30-minute patch or so from the end of the first where it was the Bulldogs at their 2021 best.
Yeah, we take a little bit of confidence from that. Playing one quarter of footy is probably not going to do it against many teams. It's especially the benchmark in Melbourne, and credit to them, they played some awesome footy throughout that whole game. So yeah, we had some positive signs, I suppose, throughout the whole game in bits and pieces. But yeah, like you said, that second quarter was really good. As long as we can string that together for 4 quarters instead of just one.
We appreciate you coming over, putting the cans on. It's probably the last thing you want to be doing. I'll send you upstairs, Cameron Ling and Mick Malthouse.
Mick Malthouse, commiserations. It was one of those games. I suppose the expectations from the public was that it was going to be a really tight game. As it turned out, it was until, I guess, the last couple of minutes when Melbourne kicked those couple of goals that made it out to 20-odd points. But the reality was they really did dominate that first quarter. So tell us about the quarter time. Were things changed around at all to arrest that, what was perceived to be a bit of a domination by Melbourne?
Yeah, they definitely came out on top in that first quarter and really put it against us, and our contest just really wasn't, up to par. So credit to them, like I said, their first quarter was super, and I suppose nothing really changed structurally. We just needed to tidy up that contest, get some hard ball going our way, and we were able to do that. And the second quarter was really positive. I suppose there was probably 5 minutes towards the back end of the first quarter that we had some decent flow and some decent footy. So like I said, that second quarter was positive. Wasn't too much structurally changed throughout that first quarter, though.
I'll give you some grace in the grand final, because I reckon it was always going to be pretty hard given the travelling arrangements that you had. By the end of the game, you just looked like you had no legs. But does it set into your mind now that Melbourne premiers against you guys, and first round up, the expectations are a lot of people go, and I know I was one of them, I know I ended up taking Melbourne at the end, but I thought, I reckon the Dogs could just about knock this over. They'll be a far better side. But do you now start to have a little bit of doubt? I know this is a strange question, but do you have a little bit of doubt now that the current side is capable of beating that Melbourne type side?
No doubt in my mind that we're able to beat anyone on our given day. And like I said, if we put that second quarter into 4 quarters, we're playing some really good footy throughout. It's been quite patchy for us throughout the last 3 weeks. So if we're able to tidy that up, play 4 quarters of footy, I know it's a cliche, but it truly is something that you need to do, especially against top sides. And everyone in the AFL is able to play some really good footy. So if we're able to play 4 quarters of the Bulldog brand, we're able to run with anyone.
Callum, without being disrespectful, if you play 4 quarters like that, that's fantastic. But if you play 3 quarters like you played the first, probably the third and part of the last, then you're going to get whacked all the time. Are there players that you think in your seconds, for instance, that can change the way, and also players that are out of the side that could come back in the next couple of weeks that will change the way. It just looked like Norton was the only player up there that was quite capable of kicking goals. On your back half, the ball's in the air, you've seen the struggle in the air. So are there players that you think can change the course of the way you play against the side that can dominate in the air?
I'm sure there's players that can come in. We've got a really strong second side. There's guys that are injured that are coming through. Timmy O'Brien, obviously a recruit.
Yeah. How far is he away, by the way?
He shouldn't be too far away, probably a week or so. Right. So I think he's trying to put his hand up for selection next week. So that's positive. He's going to make a difference. Taylor Duray is an experienced player. He comes back into the back end as well. So there are guys, but there's always people that are pushing through our twos. We've got a really strong twos, like I said, and there's always challenge for spots, I suppose.
Caleb, understand Jamari Ugelhagen was the sub tonight, so obviously very close to selection. How have you seen his progression? Is there that confidence growing in him that as a young, talented player that he can stand up to the rigours of being a key forward in the AFL?
Yeah, he's obviously really young and he's got all the attributes. So, it's awesome to have him come in and be the sub. I suppose before he sort of got struck down with COVID, he was really launching the footy, was really exciting for us to see. And, he got struck down with COVID, had a week off, and probably just hasn't been at his best. So that's probably why he's not in the team at the moment. He's a really exciting prospect for us, and he's pushing, and I think he's able to play tomorrow in the twos. And, we're just really excited to get some game time into him and see what he can do for us.
Caleb, thanks very much for your time. Good luck against the Blues next week.
Clinchy, can I just ask Caleb about his right foot? Is that tonight's injury? That is a purple foot. Is that from tonight, or is that something you've carried into today?
No, that's from tonight. It's nothing bad, just a little stud mark.
Will that keep you up? This evening?
No, I'll be all right. Everything's all right.
Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Caleb Daniel with Tim Hodges in the room, so he's going to have a blue foot tonight and a bit of ice and recovery for him. We need the 3, 2 and 1 for the ABC Footballer of the Year. Who's got the job tonight?
Mick handballs that one to me all the time, Clinchy. Okay. I'm going to go the one vote to Clayton Oliver. I thought he was terrific, just consistent across the 4 quarters. 2 votes I'm going to go with Jack McRae for the Western Bulldogs. Again, the most consistent, 11 clearances, 39 disposals. I'd love him getting more inside 50s, but it's probably being a little bit picky, just being a bit more damaging. He's more of a link player, but I'm being far too picky there. And 3 votes is very, very clear. Christian Petrarca, superb night by the Norm Smith medalist. 38 disposals, 11 inside 50s, 9 clearances, 2 goals, and apart from a brief period in the second term when he struggled a little bit, he was sensational.
So 3 to Petrarca, 2 to McRae, 1 to Oliver from Cameron Ling in the ABC Footballer of the Year. So tomorrow night, Carlton and Richmond. Looking forward to seeing Patrick Cripps. Looks like he's all of a sudden back to his best. And as you touched on, Dustin Martin, what impact can he have for the Tigers in season 2022? So hopefully another big crowd at the MCG.
I need to be convinced that Dusty's done before I'll say that Dusty's tipped over and not being the best player in the comp. He had that injury, and outside of that, he, to me, is still the number one, but I understand for the first time in, 4 or 5 years, it's perhaps up for grabs. But ask me again at the end of tomorrow night. Dusty might just light up the G and kick 3 or 4, those trademarks, fens and snaps, and I'll take it all back and say that nobody belongs in that league with Dusty. But, I can't wait. It'll be a beauty. Charlie Curnow back too. Yeah. I hope he gets a really good run at. Talk about exciting players.
It'll be a ripping guy. As I said, I think Sam Walsh is short. That Carlton is short of Sam Walsh to win the game, but I think it'll be that close because it appears Carlton have got players in form going into the game. Richmond, we've seen, they believe they're in form. So if 2 sides chasing each other like that, I know Richmond have had the upper hand over the last few years, but it'll be. I haven't seen the team, so I'm assuming that Mackay.
He's in. Charlie Curnow's in. So
that's going to pose some real problems. Well, we'll see what Tarrant does for him too. I mean, that's a good pickup by Richmond.
Very good pickup.
Tomorrow night on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital from 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So adjust your times accordingly. You guys will all be back together for Friday night footy. Collingwood and St Kilda. First game under new coach McRae for the Pies. The Dacos family legacy continues, so we can't wait for that. And all the Saints. There's a bit of expectation there around St Kilda. They'd want to try and start on a positive note.
I don't even know how to answer the question that is St Kilda. They could finish 12th or they could finish 5th. I have no idea. I probably am erring to the side of 12th, by the way, but who knows?
I just hope they don't pick and choose. I just hope that they go, right, we're going to have a crack and we're going to stay there and have a crack all day, every game of the year. But you cannot trust some blokes there. You really worry. I'm with you.
If they play their best, Mick, every time they front up, where do they finish? What are they capable of?
If they play their best, they will replace a Carlton or Richmond.
Okay.
In the 8. If they play at their best and then their worst, they will finish, like Lingy said, 12th.
Yep.
There you go. You can hear Mick Malthouse and Cameron Ling on Friday night with Corbin alongside Kelly Underwood, Lingy and Rammel. We'll be back for the lead on Saturday from midday as the AFL flows back into action. Round 1 of the AFL. Melbourne winners by 26 points in the grand final rematch, 14-13-97 to the Western Bulldogs, 11-5-71. Christian Petrarca with 38 disposals and 2 goals. He got the 3 votes from Cameron Ling. We look forward to your company again tomorrow night as round 1 of the AFL continues. Good night.
Hi, I'm Sam Hawley, host of the new podcast ABC News Daily. This is the show that will help you understand the issues affecting your world. Every weekday morning, you'll get one big story from the news source you trust, told by the journalists you know best, in under 15 minutes. Find ABC News Daily on the Listen app or wherever you get your podcasts.
ABC Sport Digital Radio, your home of AFL.
The ability for people to connect to this great thing called sport is extraordinarily valuable and powerful.
They are very strong words.
To hear these players talk about this.
Why do you see it differently?
Athletes suffer from this. It's not fair.
Why were you expelled?
Good question.
The Ticket.
Reflections.
Hello, welcome to a special edition of The Ticket, Talking to the Boss. I'm Tracy Holmes. Today we sit down and go in depth with 2 international sports bosses about their experiences and challenges in a changing world. The most powerful winter sports governing body on the planet is the International Ski Federation, or FIS. It oversees more than half the events on the Olympic calendar, with the Beijing Winter Games now only 8 months away. Late this week, FIS will elect only its 5th president in its almost 100-year history. So far, there have been 2 Swiss, a Swede and a Norwegian, all of them men. The long-term Secretary-General, Sarah Lewis, has thrown her hat in the ring, despite having been in